Championship Overnight Party.
'Cause we number one.
Now, here's your host,
'Cause we number one.
Matt McCarthy.
'Cause we number one.
And if that doesn't make you feel anything, Sean Grandy and Cedric Maxwell on the call for Banner 18, you can't feel anymore because you're dead. You're dead if you don't feel something. We will sleep. We will not sleep tonight. This is your night, Boston. Celtics win the NBA title, and we're here all night long, all the way until 6 o'clock when Toucher and Hardy take over. If you think I was going to let some national sports talk radio show take you into the early morning hours, you're kidding yourself. Not a chance. Not on this night. It's Matt McCarthy. What a night to be alive. What a night to be here. I want those phone lines loaded until Toucher and Rich at 6 in the morning. When I did this in 2018, we had full phone lines from 11 at night till 6 in the morning. And it better be the same tonight. Don't tell me we've gone soft around these parts. Don't tell me we're too used to this. I want those phone lines loaded right now until 6 a.m. It's basically a command. I'm basically commanding you to stay up with me. That's an order. Do your part. We're on YouTube as well. YouTube at 98.5 The Sports Hub. It's going to be a hell of a night. This is a show for the drunks, the degenerates, and the insomniacs. And for those people driving home from the Garden, Jim Louth, Joe Murray, the whole crew there. For the media members still working late into the night at the Garden, I am here for you. For the 4 a.m. risers, getting in the car, going to work in the morning, on no sleep because you stayed up to watch the game, I'm here for you. For the crew that's not going to bed, you're staying up all night long. Do people still go out to Dick's Sporting Goods and Olympia and all that to get your gear in the middle of the night? Is that still a thing? For the news crews getting up in the morning to capture that, I am here for you. I will not sleep. I will not let up. We're overdue for this. It's been 5 years since we won a title in this town. Did you know that is the second longest championship drought Boston has experienced since all four majors have been in existence? 5 years. Second longest drought. The longest being between the Celtics in 86 and the Patriots in 2001. So by the way, don't tell us that us millennials have it spoiled. We suffered in the 90s, damn it. So much to get into, and I want this night to be about you. Call in, celebrate. That's what it's there for. It's that type of night. It is. The less me, the better, which I know you already know. You would agree with. The more of you, the better. We got one open line right now. Grab it, 617-779-0985. It's going to be one of those nights when somebody drops off, you pick up the phone and join me. So we think about Boston as the city of champions, right? Because of the ridiculous run that we've been on since the turn of the millennium. But keep this in mind, and I think it's important on a night like this. The vast majority of that success has been the Patriots and the Red Sox. 12 titles now, 13 since the year 2000. And 10 of those are the Red Sox and the Patriots. The Bruins and the Celtics have been, for the most part, very, very good in these last 25 years, but they haven't come anywhere close to the success the Red Sox and the Patriots have had. And it's good to see one of the Celtics or the Bruins get another one. It's been 16 years, man. It's been 16 years. That's a long time by our standards around here. And they are finally back on top. 16 years. You have to go back to 2008. It felt like a long time coming because this team has been so close for so long. But at the same time, though, when you think about it, that Pearson-Garnett trade wasn't all that long ago. 11, 12 years ago at this point? Since the Pierce-Garnett Celtics were broken up? Really 11 years since the start of the rebuild? And now they've finally accomplished it. They are positioned for success for years to come. Not only is this about tonight, this is about what's to come and what I think should come for this team. They've finally done it. After years of knocking on the door, they've finally done it. They've broken through. And I don't think I'm getting greedy. I don't think it's ridiculous at all to say this on this night. I think it should be one of the first things out of your mouth, too. That's one. That's one. That's the first. But it shouldn't be the only. You know, Pearson-Garnett probably should have had another one. KG doesn't get hurt in 2009, it probably happens. If Perk doesn't get hurt in 2010, it probably happens. So I'm not saying it's a guarantee. Far from it. But Brown's 27, Tatum's 26. This should be the first of multiple championships for this team. They are positioned for this to be their league for the next few years. And that's all because of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Tonight was their coronation, Celtics fans. It was. They have arrived. They have finally arrived. They fulfilled their destiny tonight. But at the same time, it feels like their story's just beginning too. This is what they've built towards. This is what they've built towards since 2013. The 3 picks from the Nets. Think about how far they've come. Bringing Brad Stevens in 2013, which is one of the most impactful decisions this franchise has ever made. I want to get into that a little bit more later on, once we hear from you. But it is so rewarding, and it is so fulfilling to see it come to fruition. Because it could have gone a different way. Could have gone absolutely a different way. 5 years ago, Kyrie Irving leaving town, trying to napalm the franchise on the way out. He almost did. He almost did. And it forced the Celtics to stick with Brown and Tatum, which probably was not plan A. Danny Ainge wanted to trade those guys for veteran co-stars to go along with Kyrie Irving. That was the plan. That was plan A. And that didn't work out. But this one did. It all worked in the end. Despite the questions about whether Brown and Tatum could figure it out together, and those were legitimate questions. They overcame that. They grew. It's a great story. It's a tremendous story. The commitment from ownership throughout this whole process, ever since Wick and Pags bought the team in 2002, 2003, their commitment has been top-notch, which I cannot say about other ownership groups in Boston. The commitment from this ownership group is through the roof. They have spent the money. They're going to spend more money this summer. They're going to keep Jason Tatum here after paying Jaylen Brown and making him the highest paid player in basketball last year. That sure as hell worked out. Jaylen Brown winning NBA Finals MVP tonight. Wick deserves a ton of credit for that. Brad Stevens completely changed the core around Brown and Tatum in a matter of 2 or 3 years. And the veterans around them were perfect. You saw it again tonight. Holiday was great. White was excellent. Toothless and all. Sacrificing his teeth for the cause. Porzingis gutting it out. What an effort from Kristaps Porzingis tonight. But above all else, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown grew into their potential. Tonight cements it all. Tonight is the culmination of the rebuild. It is the ascension of Brown and Tatum into Celtics lore, into Celtics legend. You need to win in this town. You need to win in that uniform. They did that. Tonight is the coronation. And tonight should be the beginning of something great. Your thoughts early and often, all night long until 6 a.m., 617-779-0985. How about Chris in Winchester leading things off? Hey, Chris.
Hey, can you hear me?
We got you, Chris.
Oh, I want to talk about Joe Mazzulla.
Go for it.
More like Joe Mapula.
Hi, Chris. How you doing? How about Bob and Everett?
Hey, man, how you doing?
What's
I want to say thank you for taking us to 6 in the morning because I might be with you until then.
We got you, Bob. Thanks a lot.
I'm just enjoying a cigar on the balcony of Encore. And if you remember when the Sox won...
Bob, unfortunately, I can't hear you. I think you said you're at Encore, and it sounds like you're at Encore. How about Justin in Boston? Hey, Justin.
Hey, what's going on, Matt? How's it going? Can you hear me?
I got you.
I just wanted to, first off, commemorate just the entire vibe. I was there tonight with my best friends. It was an absolutely electric atmosphere in TD. I've been to so many games there. I've never seen the place rocking, and you could really feel the emotion and just the screams, the boos from, pointed at Kyrie, and just like the culmination of all of that to a championship title, not just a championship title, but a record-breaking championship title. Alfred winning his first, the entire team besides Drew, Holiday winning their first title altogether. You could just feel and you can sense that throughout the entire Garden. It was such a special place to be. I feel absolutely blessed that this was just a spontaneous thing that my friend and I decided to do, and to, just be there, seeing history happen right in front of you. It was absolutely incredible.
Justin, these are the nights you never forget, and I'm glad you got to experience that. That's why we're sports fans. That's why we're Celtics fans. That's why we do this, right? And I'm envious. I'm envious that you were at the game tonight, because watching on TV, it seemed like an electric environment. How could it not be an electric environment? Not that I'm complaining about being here, because trust me, I've got the best gig on planet Earth. I get to do this all night long, celebrate with you, take calls from the drunks and the degenerates until 6 a.m., celebrating another championship in Boston. Again, as we said, it's the second longest championship drought since the 4 majors have been in existence here in Boston. 5 years. 5. That's crazy. The longest being 86 to 2001, which I grew up in the height of that. You get to do this, it never gets old. It never, ever gets old, which is why we have full phone lines, and we'll have full phone lines all night long. George in Brockton. Hey, George.
Matt, I just want to say thank you for being on tonight, because I've been lit all weekend. You said you're going to be on from 2 to 6. I've been waiting for you.
Thank you, George.
Thank you. All I want to say is thank you.
Well, you know what? I am a hero. I would agree with that. I'm glad that George in Brockton recognizes my heroism, my dedication. There is no place I'd rather be. No place. You kidding me? You get to do this? Come in here and celebrate with you? It's the best. It's the absolute best. How about David in the car? Hi, David.
Hello. How are you? Thanks for being on with all this degenerates.
We got you, David.
Yeah, this is just such a great night. I'm really happy about this one. I admit I'm more big Red Sox fan. This first time calling about the Celtics, but it's so nice seeing Brown and Tatum from the early years going through, silencing the critics, and it's just a great night for Boston. And I'm going to keep it short, but you know how you have sports superstitions?
Sure.
When Pritchie Cunningham hit that 3 right before half, you just felt it was our night. And I'm happy it was, and I'm happy for everybody in Boston.
You got it, David. That was a great shot. Great call from Sean Grandy and Cedric Maxwell at the half. We'll be playing that for you. We'll be playing the highlights all night long, and we'll be taking your calls all night long at 617-779-0985. A lot of moments in this game that we can break down, but it really is more about what this team has accomplished, the big picture stuff, the journey, because they dominated. They completely dominated from start to finish. There weren't, in the grand scheme of things, there weren't the dramatic moments along the way. There were some, certainly, the Jaylen Brown 3-pointer in game 1 against Indiana, the comeback against Indiana in game 3. But this was more about how they got here. I think that's the story tonight. We can talk about the game, and I think they came out and defended and rebounded their way to a championship, which was not something they were capable of doing last year. The growth that you've seen from this team, but everything. I think this entire story is about the growth you've seen from the Celtics, from the time that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum came into the league to the struggles that they have or had, to getting so close yet so far away, particularly over the last few years, facing the questions that they faced, changing the core around them, and then finally growing into champions and dominating their way to it. It's about the big picture stuff, man. What a story. What a story for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. What a story for Brad Stevens. What a story for the Celtics. 617-779-0985. We continue until 6 a.m. It's McCarthy on the Sports Hub.
Stay tuned as the
we did about whether those guys could play together. And by the way, all of those questions were true. I mean, or they were valid. They were legitimate at the time. I mean, they were 25 and 25 in 2021. Or in 21-22, heading into the year that they went to the NBA Finals when they started to figure it out. They were 25 and 25, and you should have had legitimate questions about whether they could play together, whether they could make each other better. And it turns out they can. Turns out they could win together. I thought that was such a good moment, and I'm happy for Jaylen Brown. He deserved MVP because he's kind of always been considered the second guy. He wasn't as highly touted as Tatum coming out of college. Jaylen Brown was booed on draft night. I booed on draft night. I wasn't a fan of the pick. Hand up. Was wrong about that. Dead wrong about that. Jason Tatum came in and could do no wrong. He's only 19 and, all that stuff. And it's always been considered Tatum's team. And Brown's always been considered the second guy. And he proved in these playoffs that it's really a duo. It is. It's not Tatum and Brown. It's not a Batman and Robin situation. It's both of those guys. It is. And that's okay. And some people might use that to discredit Jason Tatum, to say that, he truly didn't lead the Celtics to a championship. Look how much help he had. That's a good thing. That's a really good thing. To have a star player like Jason Tatum who doesn't try to get his. And everybody tonight, if you watched it all, any of the coverage, or listened to it all, any of the coverage after the game, everybody talked about sacrifice. The sacrifices that had to be made, and the first people they talk about making a sacrifice is Jason Tatum. And he did. He sacrificed a little bit of volume, and he's willing to be a playmaker and a rebounder. And he did that. He had a tremendous game tonight. Tremendous. Did he finish with a triple-double? I don't think he did. I think he finished a couple rebounds shy of that. But he had one of his best games of these playoffs, and he makes everybody else around him better. So for Jaylen Brown to acknowledge him when he got it Finals MVP, and he should have gotten Finals MVP for the work he did not only offensively in this series, hitting a big shot there at the end of Game 3, but more importantly defensively in this series, guarding Luka Doncic, up and down the floor, picking him up full court, you name it. Jaylen Brown deserved it, but it was good to see him acknowledge Jason Tatum. They figured it out. They grew. So don't say we shouldn't have been talking about it then. Don't say those weren't legitimate or valid questions, because they were. They were at the time. And if you do that tonight, if you turn around and say it was the media's fault and we made too much of it and we asked questions we shouldn't have been asking about those two, then you're ignoring the best part of the story, which is those questions were valid and they grew and they learned how to play together and they won and they figured it out. What a journey. What a story. It's awesome. It's awesome. 617-779-0985. How about Bobby in Brockton? Hey, Bobby.
Hey, what's up? Celebrating, having a blast. Couldn't agree with you more about your analysis with the two J's, and I'm so happy for them.
I saw you back there, George. I saw George. He said, "Oh, just close." I saw you hovering over that dump button. You get that dump button ready tonight. That thing's going to be working overtime, something tells me. It's one of those nights. Sean in Bedford. Hey, Sean.
Hey, what's going on, McCarthy? So first I want to start it off with, do you think that Boston officially won the rivalry with Kyrie? And second off, I wanted to say that I was down around the Garden after we won today, climbing up light poles and stuff, as we do. Mm-hmm. And you should have seen it. There was all the riot gear out, tons of cops. I was there with my girlfriend for our 4th anniversary. And that's all. Love you, Steve. See you, buddy.
All right. Love you too, Sean. Thank you. Stay safe out there. Don't be a jackass tonight. Have fun. Celebrate. Don't start throwing stuff. I don't advise you climb poles. We don't have to grease the poles here like Philadelphia. But the next time this happens, because this should happen again with this team, again, this should be the first of multiples. I truly feel that way. Let's not have to grease the poles next time, please. Let's make sure let's not devote our city's resources to greasing poles. I don't want to have to grease him on Friday either when the parade's going to be. We'll keep you updated on those details, but it sounds like it's going to be Friday. Have fun out there. Be safe tonight. How about Kyle in the car? Hey, Kyle.
Hey, what's up? I was going to actually talk also about post-game in the streets. We were shooting for a documentary trying to interview people and get different opinions as people are climbing on poles and acting crazy. And all anyone could bring up is the rivalry with Kyrie, and everybody is just chanting F Kyrie, F Kyrie. I think the way that he ended it when he came over to the bench and shook everyone's hand, I thought he did the admirable thing. I think he's matured a little bit. Any thoughts on that?
Kyle, I'll add my thoughts on Kyrie in a second, but Brian in Plymouth wants to talk about Kyrie too and has a question about that. Hey, Brian.
Yes, Matt. I think Kyrie is a fraud, and I disagree with Kyle's statement about him being nice and shaking everyone's hands. Joe Mazzulla, I mean, his eyes have bothered me sometimes in the past, but I loved how he looked at Kyrie like, get the hell out of here. Am I wrong? I wasn't there, but I loved it.
Brian, did Kyrie leave the floor? I'll have to ask somebody who was there tonight, but it feels like
I thought he did, and then he came back on.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. Matt, you did a great job. I would like to say that, you know what, Kyrie is just such a fraud. I loved how it went down, and I don't buy it, man. That dude has not changed, and good luck to him.
Not one bit.
Repeat. Yes.
Repeat. Rock on, Brian. Brian in Plymouth. Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off there, Brian. The best. Nobody better than Brian in Plymouth. I don't want to spend too much time on Kyrie tonight. I don't. Because this is more about the Celtics than it is about Kyrie. Because he's in the past. He is. Tonight is, I think to one of the points that Brian was making is it is the ultimate kind of proof in the pudding moment. The Celtics wanted to hitch their entire wagons to that guy, and they almost did. And if Kyrie didn't melt down, if he waited 6 more months to melt down, imagine where you'd be. You probably would have traded for Anthony Davis. You probably would have traded for, whoever Kyrie wanted, and it probably wouldn't have worked out because of who Kyrie is. So I don't want to spend too much time on it. But it is the proof that it ended up working out. And it didn't feel that way 5 years ago. Think about how you felt 5 years ago when you were going through the Kyrie drama. I know how you felt about it because I know the way you feel about Kyrie. I know the way you've treated him here for the last 5 years. You are legitimately angry at that guy, as you should have been. He tried to napalm the franchise on the way out. And any of you who think he's changed, and this is what Brian was getting to too, any of you who think he's changed, come on, man. Some of the comments he's made in this series, like he's still the same guy. What a loser that guy is. What a loser. Absolutely no shows in Boston in the 3 games in this series because we boo him here. He cannot handle if people don't love him. And that's exactly the situation he has here. I mean, he said before game 2, I think it was, that people in Boston still love him. I mean, give me a break, guy. I haven't heard from one in 5 years. I've been at this 11 years. What do you got on that?
I was listening to you and McCone that day as well. I am kind of, in between the white lines. I am a fan, and so he might have been speaking on me a little bit. But, he is such an ass clown. I mean, if you listen to the stuff going into Game 5, I mean, he just can't help but tell on himself.
No, he can't. He has not changed. He's still the same guy. No matter how much he's going to tell you how much he's changed, he hasn't changed. The people who tell you they've changed haven't changed in life. So that's really all I want to say on Kyrie, because tonight's the proof that the Celtics ended up down a better path. And to beat him on the way to it, what a great little full circle moment that was. 617-779-0985. Chris on Boylston Street. Hey, Chris.
Matt, how are you, my man?
I'm good, man. How you doing,
Let's
Chris?
go.
Let's go.
Oh, let's go.
Let's go.
Ready to go.
Me too.
Few points. Brad Stevens, just thank you for your mastery of creating, bringing a roster together. Number one. Number two, Derek White has to take his chipped tooth and put that in the same glass frame display as his championship ring. And I'm 100% with you on Kyrie. He could have done what countless athletes and greats have done in the past, shook hands and dapped hands up in the tunnels or in the locker rooms after. He did that for a moment to get cameras on him. It was fake as hell. That's it.
Everything about Kyrie is fake. Everything. And that's all I want to say about it, because this is more than about Kyrie tonight. The point you made on Brad Stevens is what I want to get to here on the other side. We got one open phone line. Grab it. I don't want there to be any open phone lines tonight. There better not be any open phone lines tonight. 617-779-0985. I do not think it's hyperbole, but I think bringing Brad Stevens to Boston is one of the most significant moves in Celtics history. We'll get into that on the other side. It's McCarthy on the Sports Hub.
Stay tuned for more of the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics.
Al Horford.
This is Al Horford.
Al Horford catching slam.
Horford for three. You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Now more of the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics.
This is Boston. It's different here. I don't know, just a little thing that annoys me. Yes, much better. Much better. Bang on that drum. Not all day, all night. Get some Lionel Richie going on around here. We're on YouTube tonight, too. People are saying that I'm the first guy in the line at Dunkin's. I don't drink coffee. I don't do caffeine. I don't need a drug. The Celtics are my drug. Winning is my drug. I don't need to sleep. You don't need to sleep. We're going all night, baby. All night. One open line. Grab it. 617-779-0985. I want you to make George work tonight. That man is running around like crazy. He's running between three stations back there. They're cutting video. Kyle's out in the back. You better make George lose 5 pounds running between the board and the phone screener tonight. You better do that, please. It's your job. It's your job tonight. Brad Stevens had one job, and that was to build a winner. And boy, did he do that. As I said before the break, I think bringing Brad Stevens to Boston is one of the most significant moves in Celtics history. I don't think that's too strong to say. I believe it. We talked about how it's been, 11, 12 years at this point since everything changed. Doc walked out. You traded Pierce. You traded Garnett. Allen was already gone. You know, the franchise was entering what you thought was going to be a prolonged period of tanking. Think about the state of the franchise when Stevens came here. And there were a lot of questions about hiring, the hotshot guy from college. He had lived that before with Rick Pitino, and there were a lot of questions about whether the Celtics made the right move. He basically instantly answered those questions by overachieving with groups he had no business overachieving with, kind of like what he did at Butler. And he was a good coach, a really good coach. Got a lot out of teams that he shouldn't have gotten a lot out of, the Bridgie Celtics and Isaiah Thomas, and you name that. He helped accelerate the Celtics' return to relevance, which you felt like was going to take years. And that was no small feat, and we shouldn't forget that about the Brad Stevens coaching era. But as good as a coach as he was, he's been nothing short of magnificent as an executive since taking over for Danny Ainge, in a role that a lot of you felt that he probably didn't want to do or wasn't really ready for. Well, since taking over, he has been the best executive in basketball, and I would argue the best executive in all of sports. I think he's been that good. Nobody has been on a run in the 4 major sports that Brad Stevens has been on since he took over. It's been that good. Name a single bad move he's made. Give it a shot. We're here all night. George, we're here until 6 a.m. Name a single bad move that Brad Stevens has made.
Well, I can't name a bad one. I can only praise the good ones after this championship. I mean, starting with Horford, that was one of his first moves to get rid of Kemba and get Horford back into the mix the summer of 21. The Derek White trade, underrated trade. I mean, Romeo Langford, Josh Richardson, names that we miss. I don't think so.
What's his worst move? He doesn't. Dennis Schroeder? Ennis Cantor?
People were a little bit perturbed on the Porzingis deal, because it wasn't the whole Brogdon charade and with the Clippers and then ultimately Smart. We woke up to that. But I was ecstatic when that trade had gone through. And then ultimately the icing on the cake is the Drew Holiday trade. Thank you, Michael Felger.
I mean, Kemba Walker for Al Horford. And they had to trade a first-round pick in that deal, too. A deal that Danny Ainge, I don't think, would have made. You mentioned the trade for Derek White. People said he gave up too much. He said it the day he traded for Derek White. He said he compliments our best players, and he couldn't have been more right about that. I mean, Josh Richardson in a first-round pick, Romeo Langford in that deal, it's a steal. Neesmith, don't forget Neesmith for Brogdon, who won Sixth Man of the Year last year, and then you flipped Brogdon. You tried to trade him for Porzingis. That didn't work out because of the elbow injury. And then you pivoted instantly and traded Marcus Smart, the guy who was the heart and soul of the team. I mean, Mr. Winning Plays himself. Traded him for Porzingis and 2 picks. The Celtics got draft picks. The Celtics got draft picks with Porzingis. It's a steal of the century. And then he flipped Brogdon and Robert Williams for Drew Holiday when the Dame thing went down because Holiday became available. That deal was done, 72 hours after the Dame deal went down? I forget exactly what it was, but it felt quick. I know it was quick. He didn't overthink it. The opportunity presented itself, and he pounced. I mean, he went in for the kill. As a first-time executive. We've seen the struggles of first-time executives in this town. Hein Bloom recently. I mean, Theo Epstein had his misses, and Theo's an all-time executive. I mean, Theo had his struggles. First year, bullpen by committee, you name it. Brad Stevens hasn't made a single bad move since he took over. A single bad one. I think it's one of the great runs I've ever seen a GM go on in any sport. I don't think that's too strong to say. He is quickly establishing himself as a Celtics legend. And I mean legend. I don't throw that word around lightly, especially with this franchise. One of the best decisions this team has ever made. And they've made a lot of good ones. I mean, put it up there, wherever you want. But you think about the million great moves the Celtics made over the years. I mean, the Pearson-Garnett trade to the Nets, trading for Dennis Johnson, drafting Larry Bird, Ed McCauley for Bill Russell, all that. I don't know where you want to put it. I'm not here to do a list tonight. I'm just here to tell you, bringing Brad Stevens to Boston is one of the best things this franchise has ever done, and I don't say that lightly with their history. Put it on the list wherever you want, but it's impactful, man. It's impactful. Shawnee in the car wants to talk about that. Hey, Shawnee.
Hey, Matt. Your takes are really great. I'm all about this. I was in the store after the game, and somebody was still like, but I still miss Marcus Smart. And I'm like, can we finally get over that? Because you're absolutely right. That might have been exactly what the team needed to launch themselves to this winning era, I think, that we're going to go on. But my question is, why was Brad Stevens such a G. Willikers as a coach, but is a legit boss as a GM? Where did that change? And why couldn't he be more boss-like? Because, imagine this vibe as the coach, and maybe we would have been there last year.
So I think it's a good question, Shawnee, and thanks for the call. I think Brad Stevens was highly successful as a coach, particularly early on, and maybe he was better for the younger, scrappier team. But like every coach, even the best coaches in sports have a shelf life. And Brad Stevens was the coach for 8 years, 9 years, and by the end, they needed a new voice in the room. I don't think that's anything against Brad Stevens. I just think that team had started to grow. They had been through a lot, and they just needed a new voice. And they've been successful with 3 different coaches because there's obviously a lot of talent. And the fact that he's been so successful as an executive speaks to his basketball acumen. And I think he's been successful in many ways because he builds his teams the way that a coach would want to build their teams. You know, Danny Ainge would never, ever have traded for Derek White. He never would have done that because he wouldn't have wanted to give up a first-round pick. He wouldn't have wanted to give up Romeo Langford. Like, at the time, we criticized that move as giving up too much for a role player. And you said, oh, Josh Richardson's having a good year. Well, he's a role player. Why are we giving up this much for a role player in Derek White? But Brad Stevens looked at that and said, Derek White, and he said this on the day that they traded for Derek White, he complements our best players really well. So that was a coach. That was a coach's move from an executive. And maybe because he had been in that room, he knew that Marcus Smart was holding them back and was willing to move on from Marcus Smart. Maybe, just maybe. I think Brad Stevens' success as a coach and his experience as a coach has obviously helped him be this good as a general manager. Although, I mean, how could you have expected this? I mean, he's basically batting 1,000. I mean, that's ridiculous over the course of 3 years. My God. How about Rob in North Carolina? Hey, Rob.
Yes, Boston-born, lifelong Celtics fan here. Loving the title. I'm so happy for them. And I have a point about Sam Cassell, but since you're talking about Ainge and Stevens, one thing I noticed about each tonight, first of all, Brad Stevens, he wasn't really going for camera time. The only time you saw him during the game, he was kind of in the back row of a suite. And after, during the celebration, you didn't really see him interviewed much. Very low-key guy, very much just nuts and bolts. And if I may, Bill Walton passed away a couple of weeks ago, and Danny Ainge was who SportsCenter got on as their lead interview, and I think it was very kind of Ainge. So I was surprised that tonight, when they were going through the history of the team, and they mentioned the trade, the Pierce-Garnett trade, Ainge was not mentioned by name. I was a little disappointed that after he was there for SportsCenter a couple of weeks ago in the wake of Walton's death that they did that to him. But anyway, if I may, Sam Cassell. Now, you were talking a couple segments ago about ongoing questions about this team. And one of the big ones was consistency on defense, especially when the shots weren't dropping. And it seemed to me during this postseason that any time that started to happen, Cassell got up off the bench and was like almost on the court, screaming at them, would not let it happen. And I really think he deserves props for being a big part of Mazzulla maturing and this team maturing as far as consistency of effort. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on all that.
Rob, I think it's a really good point. They did what they could to help Joe Mazzulla, who obviously had issues last year. The playoffs were too big for him. He didn't know how to call a timeout. He helped hold them back last year. And I'm not saying he held them back last year because the players were ultimately the most responsible for it, but he was a reason they didn't accomplish what they should have accomplished last year. He was a part of that reasoning, and he grew a lot this year, and Joe Mazzulla deserves a ton of credit. The growth in year one from year two to Joe Mazzulla, I thought was astonishing. I thought he'd be a problem entering the year. He was not. I think he was a net positive by the end of it. I think he outcoached Rick Carlisle. I think he outcoached J.B. Bickerstaff. I think he outcoached Jason Kidd. Maybe it was a wash with Spoelstra, but I thought Mazzulla really, really grew. The way that the team grew, the way that Brown and Tatum have grown. And it's a great story. And, they're showing tonight, on the broadcast, Mazzulla being the head coach at Fairmont State or wherever, Fairview State, Fairway, I don't know, where? Prairie View A&M? I don't know, somewhere. Some school in West Virginia like 5 years ago. And here he is coaching the Boston Celtics to Banner 18. It's a good story, man. Nat and Gloucester. These are the people I want to hear from tonight. Nat, what do you do?
I drive for Uber, Matt.
Love that.
And I have to say, when I heard Joe Murray say he was going to hand it over to you tonight, my mind exploded. I was so happy to have you on the air, to be able to talk about this championship, that I was going to go home and watch all the replays and all that stuff. I said, no, I'm going to stay out here tonight, and I'm going to drive the fans home so they get home safe while I listen to Matt McCarthy on the radio.
Matt, you're a hero. No, seriously, we need people like you out there working tonight, getting people home. That's why I'm here. I'm here for people like you tonight, Matt. You keep it up, all right?
Yeah, thanks very much. Go Celtics.
Go Celtics. Get home safe. Seriously. Party, have fun. Call Matt in Gloucester. He's going to get you home tonight. I'm here for the Uber drivers. I'm here for the taxi drivers. I'm here for the up early crowd. I'm here for the crowd that's not going to bed tonight. Just be safe out there. We are here all night long. 617-779-0985. We have an open phone line. It's been hard to get. Grab it right now. How about John in Bedford? I love stories like this too. Hey, John. 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 John! All right. How about Gil from the Hill? Hey, Gil.
Hey, this is Gil on the Hill, and it's great to see the Celtics win a banner over here. You know, it is about time. Long overdue for Horford, let me say. And I just want to say, I think Luka needs to hit the gym. Kyrie needs to hit a shot. Mark Cuban just needs to hit the road and take another loss. Thank you, Joey Mazzulla. You know, my man Pat is now counting some stacks, and Andy is just doing fine and dandy.
You got it. Gil in the Hill. Thank you very much. There's a rhyme master there. Biggie. Josh in Michigan. Hey, Josh.
Hi, how's it going tonight? Thanks, Matt, for having me on tonight. So it's been 16 years to the exact day that the Celtics won a championship last. And this one hits pretty deep for me. It's also been 8 years to the day I lost my dad. So the last time I saw a Celtics championship with my dad was still here. And this one means a lot to me tonight. So I'm calling from Michigan, but I've only been in Michigan for 2 years. I'm a New Englander from New Hampshire, so this one means a lot. Just wanted to say that, you know, Josh, sometimes sports is more than just sports.
No doubt. Hey, what was your dad's name, Josh?
Michael.
Michael. Hey, shout out to Michael wherever he's listening tonight, and go Celtics, all right?
Absolutely. Amen, Matt.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Sounds good. That's what sports are about, folks. That's what sports are about. That's why I'm here all night. Let's celebrate. Maybe there's somebody you've lost. You're thinking of them. Somebody you care about who you couldn't be with tonight. Like, brings us together. I know it's cliche. I know it's corny to say, but this is why we love this. This is why I do what I do. I get the best gig on planet Earth. I get to come in here and talk about sports with you. There are other people out there working for a living. We got people like Matt in Gloucester grinding it out tonight, bringing you home. But it all brings you together. It does. Because we love the Celtics. We love this. These are the nights you remember. These are the nights you love. Favorite shift I've ever done here at 98.5 The Sports Hub was after the Red Sox won in 2018. Let's make this one a close second. Red Sox are my number one. I don't know if you can ever top that. Let's make this one a close second tonight. We're going all the way until 6. They will not take the mic from me. I will not yield. We're on YouTube. I'll go through the comments as well. You're all there. How many people checking in tonight? Hundreds of people on YouTube. Do you people sleep? The answer is no, which is good. What good is sleeping going to do you tonight? George, what good would you want to be sleeping right now?
Sleep is for losers, how Zoe says, to borrow my man's line. Hey, anniversary today as well. The trade, glorious Danny Ainge, trading down from 1 to 3 with Philadelphia 76ers to get our ultimate guy, Jason Tatum.
Danny Ainge deserves a ring for this team.
I agree.
He does. They would not have won had Danny Ainge still been the general manager. They needed to move on. It was time to move on from Danny Ainge. He became a little bit gun-shy, I think, as a result of the Kyrie thing. We got burned so badly on Kyrie. This thing could have gone in a completely different direction 5 years ago after Kyrie walked out the door and tried to nuke the franchise on the way out. But you had Brown, and you had Tatum, and you had a new executive who knew what they were capable of. And Stevens talked about that tonight. He was on NBC Sports Boston after the game, and the first thing he said was, you know, I don't feel any differently about Jalen and Jason as I did 7 days ago. And something would tell me he probably doesn't feel much differently than he felt 7 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 4 years ago. He believed in them. Now, they didn't have much of a choice at that point except to believe in them. Plan A did not work out, which was built around Kyrie. Go get a guy like Anthony Davis. Go get veteran co-stars. It came this close to happening. It came this close to materializing. And it didn't. And then they pivoted and they went out and signed Kemba Walker, and that didn't work out. And remember where they were. A year after Kyrie walked out the door, they were in the play-in game, and they lost to the Nets. And it felt like things were going sideways. And at that moment, Wyc Grousbeck made one of the most important decisions he's made, which is to move on from a general manager who built the foundation for this team, which is Brown and Tatum. He built the foundation. And he made a difficult decision to essentially fire Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge called it a retirement. I believe he's working for the Utah Jazz. I don't think that's how retirement works. I believe retirement, if I were to look it up in the dictionary, probably says something along the lines of ceasing to work. Danny Ainge did not cease to work. Instead, they moved on. They put Brad Stevens in his spot. And Stevens made the necessary moves to build a champion. And to build a team that is positioned to be successful beyond this year. Because they're going to pay Jason Tatum. After paying Jaylen Brown $305 million last year, Tatum's going to make more this offseason. They're going to commit well over $600 million to those two, which involves a hell of a commitment from Wyc Grousbeck and his ownership group, which he should be applauded for. Should absolutely be applauded for, because you never know when somebody might go John Henry. That's not Wyc's MO, though. It's not. And they're going to keep this group together, and they're going to have opportunities to win multiple championships. This is about tonight. This is about a coronation. This is about the journey that got here. But I'm also willing to say this is about the future, too. Because the future has arrived in the names of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Tonight was their ascension. One open line, grab it. We're here for you all night long, 617-779-0985. And trust me, the breaks are short. They're really short. Don't go anywhere, because if you go somewhere, you're going to miss the return, because it's happening fast. It's McCarthy, the all-night party on the Sports Hub.
The party continues in a moment on the... Championship for the Boston Celtics. This is the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
10 on the shot clock. Jalen coming downhill. Finds the cutter. Porzingis two-hand slam. The first points of the fourth quarter come nearly 3 minutes in. Timeout, Jason Kidd.
Big fella, he's game out there. He is game.
Idea. And for him to gut it out, and I think there was some reporting, and I don't know, George, if you've seen this after the game, has there been some reporting about Porzingis needing surgery? I think I heard Joe mention that.
Oh, man, I'd believe it. But, yeah, what a soldier. I knew about his time with the Knicks, having family in the Bronx and, Yankee fans, Knicks fans, those kind of things. I followed him. He's the original unicorn, what Wembanyama can dream to be. Hopefully, gutting this out, he can be healthy for us in the future.
Yeah, so I was right about that. Porzingis needs surgery. This from Tim Bontemps, ESPN. Celtics center Kristaps Porzingis returned to the court for Game 5 of the NBA Finals, playing through a rare left leg injury that he told ESPN will require surgery and will have a recovery process of a few months. He gave the Celtics a lift tonight. It wasn't, what you saw in Game 1, far from it. He was limited, but he gave them 16 minutes that did not have to go to Xavier Tillman. Based on what you saw from Tillman in Game 4, we didn't need to go back to him. So Porzingis gutted it out, really gutted it out, and I will never forget that Game 1 performance that he had. Stuff of legend, for sure. So a tip of the cap to Kristaps Porzingis for playing through a very rare, difficult injury that he had, and he gave the Celtics a little something tonight. That guy is a freak, man. He is a freak. How about Brian in Fall River? We got the overnight crew here, people working hard. What's up, Brian?
Hey, what's going on, Mikey? How you doing, my brother?
Hey.
Listen, I'm one of them overnighters that you were talking about. I'm literally right now driving my forklift, loading up some cement at a big lumber company. I don't really want to say the name, but it makes you feel like you're at home if you catch my drift.
Sure, yeah.
I want to say congratulations to the Celtics. You're the best, Mikey. Listen, I listen to you guys all the time. I'm so psyched. I just want to say congratulations. Let's do it again, but let's enjoy this one, dude. I appreciate you, brother.
You got it, Billy. Take care. Have a good night. We got the people working out there. The overnighters, the guys in the forklifts, third shifters, doctors, nurses, truck drivers, Uber drivers, taxi drivers. That's our crew. And the degenerates and the drunks who won't go to sleep, the insomniacs, and the Celtics fans. All of you. We're here for you until 6 a.m. Pat and Franklin. Hey, Pat.
Well, I'm going to call you Matt.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it. I'm going to call you Pat.
And I'm going to say this. I think you got the best job in the freaking world right now.
I do too. How
awesome is your job?
It's the best, Pat. It's the best.
So I went to Villanova. I saw Al Horford win multiple college championships. Winner. I watched Derek White at Colorado with a bad team. Winner. I watched Drew Holiday live in college. Winner. Brad Stevens, the reason why these Tatum and Brown are winning this title is because he's assembled the other pieces that you need to build a champion. Brad Stevens is the MVP of the Boston Celtics.
I'm right there with you, Pat. Thanks for the call. The team he has assembled is no joke. And Ainge deserves credit because he built the foundation and he nailed the draft picks. George mentioned a couple minutes ago, tonight's also the anniversary of trading the first overall pick to the Sixers and getting the third overall pick and passing on Markelle Fultz and taking Jason Tatum. A lot of general managers wouldn't have done that. Most of them probably would not have done that. Danny Ainge did. Danny Ainge deserves a ton of credit. He took Jaylen Brown in a draft where a lot of people would not have taken Jaylen Brown. He got the best player in that draft. He got the best player in both of those drafts. Danny Ainge built the foundation here, but he was not the guy to build the rest of the roster by the end. And Ainge did a tremendous job over the course of nearly 20 years running the Celtics, and I get that, but it was time to move on because he did become gun-shy by the end. And to Pat's point in Franklin, Brad Stevens went out and identified the perfect role players. Danny Ainge would not have traded Kemba Walker and a first-round pick. More importantly, he would not have traded a first-round pick to get Al Horford back. Al Horford, let's not understate the importance of Al Horford. And you saw it in the absence of Porzingis. Horford's ability to step up and be an impact player for the Celtics, particularly defensively, but I mean, his shot was better by the end of these playoffs too. Al Horford was an impact player, and you know how much the guys in that locker room love him. Ainge would not have traded a first-round pick to get what we thought was the corpse of Horford back. But Stevens recognized that he still had a lot to give. He had more to give than any of us could have possibly imagined. And I'll tell you what, I would take Al Horford back next year. I think he can still play. And if he wants to still play, bring him back. Sign me up. You have to manage him, but look at what he gave you. Look at what he gave you. Went out and traded for Derek White, a move that I definitely do not think Danny Ainge would have made. Winner. Drew Holiday, winner. Did that instantly. Like, that became available. Nobody thought entering the offseason that Holiday was going to be available. And then the Bucks made that trade, and Stevens pounced immediately. Went in for the kill. Built such a good team around Brown and Tatum, and built a team that, most importantly, allowed Brown and Tatum to flourish. Allowed them to become the best version of themselves. Went out and got a big that they could play the two-man game with, both of them in Porzingis. Got Marcus Smart out of here, which allowed for the growth of Brown and Tatum. Brought in a stabilizing force in Drew Holiday. Somebody as reliable as they come.
How do you think they're feeling in Milwaukee right now?
I don't think they're feeling good, Max. Don't think they're feeling good. Giannis chose wrong, folks. How do you like that, Felger? How do you suck on that at 2 o'clock tomorrow? Lot to answer for. Anthony Edwards is better than Jason Tatum. Kiss my ass. Kiss my ass with that take. I generally believe there's no such thing as a bad take. That was a bad take. Bad take. Apologize. Do you hear me? Somebody go to Wellesley and wake Felger up. Do you hear me, Felger? Bad take. Bad. Don't actually wake the guy up. Tell him tomorrow at 2 o'clock. You tell him McCarthy sent you. Because you're the real ones up tonight. 3 a.m. Not sleeping in some comfy California king somewhere. Nope. Real fans up tonight. One open line. Grab it. 617-779-0985. We need to pause 10 seconds for station identification. No commercials. No headlines. Back to you next. Lot to answer for. Anthony Edwards is better than Jason Tatum. Kiss my ass. Kiss my ass with that take.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is the flagship station of the World Champion.
Ball coming out tonight.
WBZFM and HD 98.5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub. Now, you're listening to the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party on 98.5 the Sports Hub.
Matt McCarthy. Short commercials, no headlines, just you, just me. It's the way it should be. On nights like tonight, Celtics, NBA champions. The journey to this point. The culmination of the rebuild. What a night. What a night. No place I'd rather be than celebrating with you right here. Why do I have an open phone line? Why? Be better. I want full lines until 6 a.m. 617-779-0985. Brian in Northborough. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Matt McCarthy. How we doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing great, Brian. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm going to try to keep it quick, but if you'll allow me as I make sense, just let me get this out real
Brian,
quick.
It's 3 a.m. We've got time.
Yes.
This is not Felger and Maz. I'm not cutting you off. Don't worry.
First and foremost, congratulations to the entire Celtics organization from the top down. An amazing accomplishment. They dominated all year. They were the best team. They went out. They took it from everybody else and won. But I was driving home and I was trying to figure out why I felt the way that I did. And I started to realize that the reason I was feeling not as excited as I thought I would was because I'm actually was wrong about this team in a lot of ways. And I think tonight is an opportunity for some of Celtics Nation, myself definitely included, to appreciate some of that. So I was wrong about the Jays being able to win together. I was one of those people calling in, maybe we should trade Tatum. Maybe we should trade Brown. Clearly they can play and win together, and they proved that tonight. And I was also wrong about Joe Mazzulla. Someone, up until about 4 hours ago, I was convinced would be the reason that they didn't win this year. And I was so wrong about all of those things, and I couldn't be happier. And I'll leave you with this thought. Sometimes there's something to be said about being wrong, and the things that we really believe in our bones are not actually true at all. They're completely diluted. And I couldn't be happier again about being wrong about all those things. And I think this is the first of many championships. And I so appreciate you being on and letting me have this long rope. Go Celtics, Banner 18. Let's get after another one.
Brian, I think it's one of the best calls of the night because I think you really summed up how you should feel as a Celtics fan. And it's certainly, the way that I feel. Of course, there were questions about Brown and Tatum and their ability to play together and ultimately reach this moment. But don't, look back tonight and say, oh, you never should have felt that way. How could you feel that way? You were wrong. Yeah, we were wrong. We were. But that's a great story. I mean, it's a great story that the media is wrong and you can rub it in our face and all that, but don't act like the questions weren't valid. Because they were valid. And that makes it so much sweeter. The fact that they did overcome those questions, the fact that they did grow together, they did learn how to win. They had a lot of opportunities to win, and they didn't, and they fell short. And they'll be the first to tell you about that. How many times has Jaylen Brown talked about Game 7 last year? How many times? About how that inspired him, it fueled him, it made him better. And he came back after getting paid $300 million, by the way. And a lot of other athletes would have sat on their laurels and said, I'm the richest player in the history of the NBA. I don't need to get better. Jaylen Brown did. He used it as fuel. He used it as fire. He said he let his team down when Tatum got hurt in that game last year, and Jaylen Brown was their best player from start to finish in these playoffs. He was the rightful MVP of both the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals. So the journey, the road that you take to get to a moment like this, that's the best part of the story. Yeah, we were wrong. We were wrong. I was wrong. Hand up. 25-25, I wanted the Jays broken up in 2021, 2022. I wanted them broken up. I did. But you probably should have felt that way at that time. And look at where they've come since then. Look at how they've proven us all wrong. Jason Tatum's doing commercials about it. First thing he said tonight with Lisa Salters, after, by the way, kind of doing the Kevin Garnett anything is possible thing, which was great. Cool moment there. Took you back to this night 16 years ago. And he said, what are they going to say now? What are you going to say now? You're right. What are we going to say now? Good for you. But we did say those things for a reason. And you proved us wrong. It's a hell of a story, man. It's a hell of a story. 617-779-0985. Marcus and Lynn. What's up, Marcus?
Yo, thank you, man, for picking me up. I wanted to say thanks for playing that Michael Jordan Tatum thing earlier. That was super motivating, and just for taking my call. This is a historic win and something really great for all of us. We needed this. We needed this bounce back for this team. Them and the Bruins. It's been like you guys said, the Pats and the Red Sox for years, and we just needed them to come back and do this. I'm wearing my KG jersey, and I love Celtics till the day I die. Let's go, boys!
You and me, Marcus, till the day I die. And that'll be when I will sleep. Won't be tonight, folks. And if you're going to sleep, you better have a damn good reason to. You better be working in a few hours. But at this point, what does it matter? Pull the all-nighter. Stay up with you, with me. We're on YouTube, all that. You can check us out there. You can dial in at 617-779-0985. Kiko in Los Angeles. Kiko!
I'm right here. What's going on?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm on cloud 9, baby. Cloud 18. What's up?
You got it, man. Me too. What's up with you?
I'm closing down my bar here in LA. Got to just celebrate by myself because no one else at this bar cared about this win. So I just want to dedicate my phone call to everybody around the world who's a Celtics fan who can't be in Boston tonight.
Kiko, I love that. Love that. You want a little taste of home? You dial us up. It's midnight out in LA. You're closing down the bar. It's 3 a.m. here. I had somebody checking in at Matt McCarthy 98.5 from Germany. Mike checking in. McTakey is the people's champ. Listening now from Berlin while here for the Euros. Let's go. I'm not saying there's any place I'd rather be right now than here because there isn't. I've got the best job on planet Earth. This is awesome. Get to hang out all night with you. It would be pretty cool to be at the Euros. That'd be pretty awesome. I'm a soccer guy. I'm one. Oh, hell of an upset today in the Euros. Not that you care. Not on a night like tonight. Tonight's a night to party. Speaking of bartenders, that's another crowd we appeal to in the overnight crowd. The bartender, Mike and Peabody. What's up?
Hey, what's up, brother? I actually I just got home right now. I just got done closing my bar. But wow, what an atmosphere it was. So I work at West End Johnny's, and there's a line out the door. You can't go anywhere after like a certain time, and nobody leaves. Like, and instead of being inside the garden, like I could not have been grace of being in the presence of that atmosphere. It was unbelievable. It was such a great experience. I can't be more proud of my city. I absolutely.
All right, we got to let you go on that. First one of the night that we got to hit the dump button on there, George. Yeah. What are you going to do? You should be fired up. That's what tonight's all about. You think about the people in your life that you watch these games with, whether it's strangers at a bar, whether it's your best friend, your neighbor, your dad, your mom, your grandfather, your brother, whoever it may be. Those are the people you think of tonight. The people that you spend tonight with, that will create a memory forever. On a text chain with my buddy earlier tonight, 16 years ago tonight, my neighbor, Nick, who is an early riser, and I know will be joining us, if not now, but sooner, or a little bit later on as he goes to his job. He's an electrician. One of those early risers. The people we are serving tonight. We're just texting, just reminiscing about 08. Watching that game together. That's what it's about. Community. That's why we're here for you. All night long to celebrate with you. 617-779-0985. DJ in the truck. What's up, DJ?
Hey, McCarthy, what's happening, bro? Is Middleborough High, class of 2011. What's going on, man?
Here we go. Carver, represent, DJ.
I heard. Yeah, man, I'm just thinking, as I'm 30, bro, as a millennial Boston sports fan, this is insane. So this would be, 12 titles in 22 calendar years?
13 now. You lost count.
13 is ridiculous.
6 for the Patriots, 4 for the Red Sox. Now 2 for the Celtics and 1 for the Bruins. Celtics and Bruins need to hold up their end of the bargain. Celtics did it tonight, DJ.
Imagine being from Dallas or Chicago watching this. This is unprecedented.
DJ, I couldn't agree more. Thank God I was born here. Can you imagine being born in some podunk town where you don't have this type of success, where it doesn't matter the way that it does here? Imagine being born in Indianapolis or Dallas, to your point, or Salt Lake or Denver, or we heard from L.A. It doesn't matter in L.A. I remember 6 years ago when I was on doing the overnight after the Red Sox won the World Series, we actually put on ESPN radio in L.A. or whatever. They were talking about the Lakers. They didn't care. Red Sox beat the Dodgers. They weren't doing overnight, breaking down the Dodgers' loss. Win or lose, this is what we do. Can you imagine being born somewhere else? Or, if you're living somewhere else, that's why you're dialed in on the app. That's why you're dialed in on YouTube tonight, because you want a taste of it, because you miss home. That's why we're here for you. Titletown, baby. What more can you say? Titletown. Sean in Worcester wants to party. Hi, Sean. Sean. Not exactly the life of the party, Sean in Worcester. You can do better than that, Worcester. I know you can. Don't let McCone down. I need a caller from Worcester right now. I got an open phone line, 617-779-0985. Mac's in Boston. Hey, Mac.
Hey, what's going on, Matt? So, really, hey, hello?
We got you. How you doing?
All right. Hey, what's going on? So I was going to talk about Brad Stevens, but I actually wanted to pivot to talk about something else, thinking about this. I'm a pretty young Boston fan, right? Young enough that I actually don't remember the 08 title. Now, that being said, I know a lot about, the great villains in Boston sports history, namely, I guess as it pertains to the Celtics, guys like, LeBron James in this era who gave the team fits. And I've been thinking about Kyrie Irving, where he fits into that pantheon of villains, and I've realized that he might be the most pathetic villain in the history of Boston sports. Not only did he fail to truly give the team fits or give any fans, terrible memories of his exploits against the team, but he essentially handed the team a championship on a silver platter with some of those god-awful shooting nights I've ever seen, which, if you think about it, is perfect comeuppance for a guy who I think just puts himself on a pedestal and thinks he's far better than he actually is. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, Matt. I'm very pleased.
Mac, I think you nailed a lot of things there. Imagine where they would have been if Kyrie stuck around, which they wanted him to. And tonight it came full circle, and he no-showed again in Boston. Ain't that a shame, huh, Kyrie? Too bad. Too bad, so sad. What a burden. What a burden that guy is. But you're right. Not exactly the most impactful villain. LeBron James came in here and ripped your heart out a number of times. Game 6, 2012. Or is it 2011? I'm trying to remember now. All the years blend together. 2018. Think about all those times. Kyrie, 1-14. 1-14 in his last 15 against the Celtics, and completely no-showed in 3 games here in Boston, which should stick to his legacy. It should. And I get that his legacy is, hitting the game-winning shot in the NBA Finals, and yes, that's a legacy, but wow, was he bad in Boston. And people shouldn't forget that. That's soft. That's soft. Kyrie's soft. But I don't think tonight is all about Kyrie. You want to dance on the Kyrie grave? Sure, fine, you can. I think it's more about Brown and Tatum. And what a full circle moment it is that it's Kyrie in the way and they vanquish him. Or Kyrie vanquishes himself. Or you vanquished Kyrie because he couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle it here in this town. In these 3 games. You got in his head. Have you ever seen a place get in a guy's head so much as Boston did to Kyrie? I hope now we can really, truly put it in the past. Because at this point, you're right, he's not a villain anymore. I'm not saying he's a sympathetic figure, because he's not. But he's just kind of pathetic. It's kind of a pathetic figure at this point. You ruined him. Wow. All right, we got full phone lines, so when somebody drops off, you pick up the phone and join me. 617-779-0985. The commercials are short tonight. We'll be back. It's McCarthy on the Sports Hub.
Stay tuned as the party continues on the home of your world.
Confetti guns shooting green and white confetti. Into the corner for three. Al, open, straight away. 3, got it. The Boston Celtics are world champions for the 18th time.
Boston, home again to the world champion Celtics. Congratulations from 98.5, the Sports Hub. Now more of the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party. We are the new kings on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
The inevitable is forming into reality. Boston by 22. Tatum, calm as he just woke up, puts it in his right hand against Washington. Tatum, 2 dribbles with the right, hangs in the air, runs it off the window and in. Timeout, Jason Kidd.
Whose house is this? Whose house is this?
I don't want to see a single open phone line until 6 a.m. That's your job tonight. We celebrate together. That's why we're here. The boss, Jim Louth, checking in. He's heading to bed. Kind of soft, not going to lie. Jim Louth heading to bed. Soft. Boy, he made good time, by the way, getting back to Rhode Island. Wow. Flew.
Big time. God bless Jim.
Yep.
Doing the Spanish broadcast.
Soft. Soft. Jim, going to bed. Soft. He said we have thousands upon thousands on the stream right now. I can tell you we have hundreds on YouTube. Hundreds. How many? Wow. Oof. And full phone lines. We keep rolling. Wherever you may be. If you're working, if you're getting up early, if you haven't gone to bed, if you're hammered, if you're not hammered, if you're out of town, across the world, wherever you may be, we're celebrating Banner 18 tonight. 617-779-0985. I can tell you where Joe Mazzulla is right now. He is taking a walk around the parquet with his family. It's a video of our hardworking media people. I know the media people are out there tonight. They're still at the Garden. They're working. They're heading home right now. But I did just see someone post a video, which is just a great moment for Joe Mazzulla walking around the empty Garden, the parquet with his family, soaking it all in. It's a good moment for him. It's a good moment for all of us. It's a hell of a night. Hell of a night. Aaron in Leominster. What's up, Aaron?
Hey, Matt.
How you doing?
Nice to have someone up this early. I actually had a quick story I wanted to share.
This is a good night for story time. I got you. What do you got?
Yeah, so I work different production assistant jobs around Boston, and the last 2 years I worked Celtics Media Day. And 22-23, they had me doing parking, and I had to organize team officials in one lot, media in another. Guy pulls up. I ask him, "Are you with the team?" He gives me this dead look in my face and says, "Yeah, I'm the coach." It was Joe Mazzulla. Keep in mind, this was just after Ime. He was just hired. I was so embarrassed in my life, but celebration time tonight, I'll never forget his face again at this point.
I can only imagine. It's a great story, Aaron. Thanks for checking in from Leominster tonight. I can only imagine, just based on some of Joe's interactions with the media, how he would have reacted to that and how it would have been kind of funny, but also painfully awkward at the same time. He's an interesting cat. He is. I'll tell you, when he came in and with Zolak and Bertrand one day, came in studio, got a chance to meet the guy, you can tell why they liked him immediately. He's just instantly, there's something about him. There's something about him that's just, when you meet him and you talk with him for a few minutes, you just like the guy. I don't know. He's a different cat, but he's cerebral and he's really into mindset, and he was the right guy for this team. He wasn't the right guy for them last year, but Brad Stevens believed in him. Brad Stevens, knew there was something there, and it was a highly criticized decision, and I was one of those people criticizing it. But again, that's the great thing about a night like tonight, is you can look back and you can say, yeah, I was wrong. But don't say you shouldn't have questioned it. Don't say, that wasn't a story and you made something up. No, it was a story. Was Joe Mazzulla going to be ready to lead this team? Was he capable of it? Look at how much he's grown. That's awesome, man. Brown, Tatum, look at how much they've grown. Don't act like they were always here and it just finally worked out for them. That's not the way it is. Don't act like that. You're missing the most important part, is how they went from point A to point B. And to me, that's the story about this team. That's the story about this Celtics team, the failures, and finally getting here. Yes, there was a lot of success along the way, but they always fell short in the big moment. And now the question is, does this propel them to the next thing, the next step? Because it's there for the taking, guys. It's there for the taking. It shouldn't be just one. It shouldn't be just one. Pierce, Garnett, Allen only got one. That was injuries that held them back. Game 7, 2010 stings me to this day. One of the most stinging defeats I've experienced as a Boston sports fan. Because he felt like they were good enough to get 2. They were absolutely good enough to get 2, and it didn't happen that way. This team is good enough to get 2. This team is good enough to get 3. This team is good enough to be the team of the decade, whatever that is. Like, have that era. The NBA is all about eras, and they're good enough to do that. Doesn't mean that they will, but you should look ahead. You should look ahead, because tonight feels like it should just be the beginning. Tonight's about the journey that it took to get here, but it's also about where this thing is going. 26 and 27 years old for Brown and Tatum. How can you not feel good about that? 617-779-0985. James in the car. Hey, James.
Hey, what's going on, Matt? You just nailed it, man. So this whole journey, it's just been magic. This is a product of what happens when people come together. It's the magic of what we can do when we come together. You remember at the beginning, the Jays come in, they got the swagger. I remember them both dunking on LeBron, chest bumping LeBron after they're dunking on him and stuff, talking about how they want 7 championships by the time they're 30, this and that, and watching them fail and kind of watching this growth and this maturity where they're entering like this juggernaut prime, like this Mike Tyson prime, I feel. Like they're the team to beat. They're going to be the team to beat. And I was texting my buddy during the game, my buddy Nick, and it's halftime. Right after halftime, I'm looking and I go, man, combined, no turnovers.
Yep.
Like you think about that for growth and
No
just
doubt.
where they were at and where they're at now. It's amazing.
James, such a good point. And we doubted it. I mean, obviously, we doubted it at times this year, but you could tell they were different early on. They had grown over the summer. But, I mean, you doubted it last year. And how could you not? I mean, they couldn't close teams out. This team, less than a year ago, struggled to close out the Atlanta Hawks, for the love of God. Lost to the Miami Heat, a Heat team that wasn't very good. And wasn't very good this year, and you blew them out in 5. The amount of growth that you've seen from those two players is something else. And the best moment of the broadcast tonight, and I don't know if we have it somewhere, George, it'd be worth digging up at some point, is Jalen talking about, if Luka stays in, I want to stay in. I mean, killer mentality from Jaylen Brown. Killer mentality. And maybe Jason Tatum doesn't quite have that competitiveness, but I don't know if he needs to have it. Because it is a duo. And I think we learned that. I think that's the takeaway from this whole experience, this whole year. And I mean, I think Tatum still has some growing to do too. I don't think he's reached his fullest potential either. Maybe developing a little bit more of a killer mentality will be, him reaching that, fully evolved form or whatever it is. But Jaylen Brown, his attitude, his competitiveness, his mentality was just different from last year. It was just different. I mean, wanting to compete for 48 minutes. And he was always a competitive guy to begin with, but like just channeling that in the way he channeled it. Again, that moment in the broadcast saying, if Luka stays in, I want to stay in. I mean, just grinding it out. Leading by example. Leading with his work. I mean, we've seen the mic'd up stuff from Jaylen Brown, a lot these playoffs, and how could you not walk away impressed? And even after the game, in his MVP speech, first thing he says was, couldn't do this without my partner in crime, Jason Tatum. So much has been made about whether they could do it together. Rightfully so. The answer is a resounding yes. And it's not a Batman and Robin situation. It is a true duo. And we should accept that and be okay with that. We shouldn't hold it against Jason Tatum that he has Jaylen Brown. Or we shouldn't, and I get it, it's easy to do, it's basketball, it's one of those like individual team sports, I get it. And, it's a star power league, and I understand that. But can't we just accept the fact that it's both of them? It's not one of them. It's not one or the other, and it's not one followed by the other.
If Luka stays, I'll stay. If Luka stays, keep me in.
So good. So good.
It's good stuff. Good catch.
Oh, my God. We're going for 4 hours tonight? No, things started, and I have to contact my doctor in a couple hours after hearing that. I don't need Northeast Men's Health after hearing that. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think they both complement each other. It's like filling holes, almost like, where you find your lady, and like opposites attract. That, we just complement each other. I mean, if you take Jalen's personality and stick-to-itiveness and that dog mentality, and then Jason Tatum and all the skill that he has, and the kind of too cool for school, kind of a laid-back persona. They definitely complement each other well. This is probably the first season that we've seen them play complementary basketball. And then more to your point, in terms of the internal growth, I mean, the Celtics basically subtracted both Grant, Robert Williams, Brogdon, and Smart for really Holiday. I mean, but Porzingis had a large portion of the season where he played well, and God bless him. He's definitely the third star on this team if he's healthy. But during the playoffs, the majority of that, I would say, he was MIA, and a lot of this can be attributed to the personal growth, including Mazzulla.
Yep, but that wasn't always there with Brown and Tatum, and they grew into this. They evolved into this, and This is the final product. It's a hell of It's a hell of a final product, and you feel like it's just the beginning.
That's right.
It's just the beginning. It should just be the beginning. 617-779-0985. I've got line 5 open. Why? Why is that? Only line 5. Somebody needs to fill that up right now. Quick break, and when I say quick, I mean quick. This is not the full-blown Felger and Maz spot load. Nope. This is overnight spots. I think we're doing about 54 minutes an hour here. It's McCarthy. The overnight party continues on the Sports Hub all the way until Toucher and Hardy.
Stay tuned for more of the Sports Hub Banner 18. Absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps or at 985sportshub.com. We're celebrating another world championship for the Boston Celtics. This is the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
He's going to miss it. Rebound. Celtics have it. Horford outlet. It's Pritchard again. Pritchard, half court. It's in the air. He got it. He did it again. Peyton Pritchard did it again with the world watching. He knocks down a half-court three that will send the Boston Celtics into the locker room with a 21-point lead.
Absolute best in the business, and I don't say that because I work with those guys and know those guys, and they're good guys. I'm sorry, you travel the country, you will not find a better broadcast than Grandy and Max across any sport, television, radio. They're perfect. They're absolutely perfect. And they were perfect again tonight. Grandy had a great call at the end, but that Pritchard call is just, like, if that doesn't make you feel anything, feel something, 6 hours after it happened or whatever it was, sorry, that's a you problem. That's an issue. Great call from Grandy and Max, as always. Nobody better. It's McCarthy.
I've been watching since Jason Tatum was a rookie. That's when I first started watching sports. I'm 18 years old, so I started watching when I was 12 years old. So I've seen them grow, and become what they are right now, and they're champions, man. I can't believe it.
Hey, Mo.
I really can't.
Mo, that's what it's about, all right? It's your first championship as a Celtics fan. You never forget your first. I was about your age when the Celtics won in 2008. Went out the next day. Took my friends and I loaded into my little 2002 Dodge Neon, and we went to Dick's Sporting Goods, and we just bought Celtics jerseys. I took my Dunkin' Donuts paycheck, and I bought a Ray Allen and a Paul Pierce jersey. They didn't have any KG jerseys left the next day. So I got Allen, I got Pierce, and it was great. It was great. I think that championship means more to me because, again, you never forget your first, and this is your first experience, winning. If you're a little bit older, it's an 80s team or whatever it is. But no doubt about it, this is a night to celebrate with the people that you're with, and that's why we're here all night long. So I'm glad that you had that moment, and I don't think it's going to be your only one. It shouldn't be your only one. Bill in Vegas. What's up, Bill?
Hey, McCarthy, we're out here in Vegas celebrating this championship.
Hell yeah, man. Woo! Yeah.
Let's go, Banner 18, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. That's a contribution all the way from Las Vegas. Let's go. I agree. Real quick, I do need to shout out the YouTube chat, which is hard to follow at this point because there's so many of you in it. So thank you. Thanks for staying up late. But somebody asked me to do that. We had another person who drove a Dodge Neon. It was a great little car. It was. Stick shift and all. Put 187,000 miles on that puppy, including 15 of those the day after the Celtics won in 2008 to go buy my Paul Pierce jersey, which I should have broken out for tonight. George is all decked out back there. He's got his Celtics green going on and everything.
Well, I'll pose for the YouTube camera in a little bit.
There we go. You always come in full uniform. I have a wedding coming up where the welcome party, the pre-wedding party is wear your favorite jersey.
I love themes like that.
Oh, great. I don't know which one it's going to be. I got to get one. But I know what I do need to get. I need to go out and get a Horford jersey because this friend of mine, if you're out there listening, Rose, is from Philadelphia, and she hates Al Horford. Hates him. Hates him, hates him. I think I need to show up to her wedding in an Al Horford jersey.
That's right. Rub it in.
You suck on that. Al Horford. Boy, he looked cooked in Philadelphia, didn't he? That was like 5 years ago, man.
Right, yeah.
Ageless Al.
Times. Yeah, OKC for a cup of tea, too. Yeah.
Ageless Al. So I gotta go to Dick's tomorrow, get my Al Horford jersey, and wear that to her wedding. You see, deal with that. Think about that. How's that process treating you down there, Philadelphia? Isn't it so good? Weren't you glad you were born here?
You catch Embiid pre-game 4? Did you catch him on set?
I don't care what Joel Embiid said. No, I did not.
Oh, he sounded so depressed, and they had Paul George next to him on the panel too. They were kind of hinting at him, you need help. You might be next to you, Paul George. And, it's so bad.
Oh yeah, Embiid and Paul George, please. It's not. Sure, assemble that team. It'll be the next Sixers team that was supposed to scare me that won't. Please. Enough about the Sixers, please. Brian in Lowell. Hey, Brian.
Hey, McCarthy, thanks for taking my call, man. And you got the perfect attitude for doing this overnight show, man. I'll tell you, this is the memories for me. I remember calling into the station across the street during the last championship. And, these memories that we're making right now, man, this means just as much to me as the game, just feeling like everybody's in the vibe. So I just wanted to say real quick, thanks for doing that.
No problem.
And
man.
you mentioned Grandy and Max and how great a job they did. How about winning this in the last season for Mike Gorman as well? You think he was there tonight? He had to be in the Garden, right?
I know Gorman was there tonight. I saw him being interviewed, I think, by one of the TV stations.
Yeah, pregame.
Yes, he was there. Yep, of course he was there.
Right on. Well, hey, the only other thing I wanted to say was with Kyrie, I don't know if you heard him say before the game tonight, he said something to the effect of, I never really wanted to be a Celtic. It's just, I don't know that there's been a championship that we've won where I felt hatred towards the opponent more than Kyrie. And the fact that he's 32 years old now, this isn't I know people say Dallas isn't the greatest team, but this isn't the built-in excuse of Oklahoma City where, they're 20 years old, in 2 years you won't be. No, you're beating two guys in their prime that are probably top 10, top 15 guys, and they might not have the greatest team, but those are the names. People are going to see them beat these guys, and I think you're going to start getting some good veterans that come in and want to play here for cheap, and this is going to turn into a real dynasty, I think.
So real quick about looking ahead, and we've got so much time to do it, so I don't want to do too much of it tonight. They do need another big man. They do. Because, if Horford comes back, which I hope he does, because I still think he has something to give, you got to manage him. Porzingis is going to need surgery. He told ESPN that tonight, so he's going to need to recover for a few months. I don't know if he's going to be ready for the start of the season. I don't know what that looks like. But they do need to start developing a young big man who can become a part of this group eventually, because I just don't know if Porzingis is going to hold up and Horford's going to retire. So if you want to talk about, being successful for years to come, that should be Brad Stevens' number one thing. Sam Hauser really showed me something. I've not been a Hauser guy, but I think he defended really well in this series, and obviously his shot was falling. The defense, the improvement there with Sam Hauser makes me believe in him a little bit more moving forward. But you got to get a big man. Have to get a big man. And real quick on Kyrie, I kind of hope this is the end of it. I shouldn't say I hope it's the end of it. Kind of hope. I do hope it's the end of it. You beat him. You vanquished him.
They're not going to be back.
Well, oh no, the Mavericks are not going to be back. They're not. I'm sorry.
Right. Admiration for sure.
No. Frankly, they shouldn't have gotten this far. I think the Pacers were a better team than that Mavericks team that they play. I mean, I don't know if you can win with Luka. This is not a Dallas Mavericks show. If I were doing, I guarantee you they're not doing overnight coverage in Dallas. Because it's not Boston. I mean, this is why we're here. This is why I was lucky to be born here. Win or lose, we would be doing overnight coverage, talking Celtics. What do you think they're doing in Dallas right now? Maybe we should check in on whatever their station's doing. Guarantee you they flipped to some overnight national program or whatever. Right. Guarantee you they're not doing that. So I'm not here to talk about Luka. I am here to talk about the Celtics. But I hope this is the end. I hope this is the end of the Kyrie thing. We can move on from it. We don't have to do this drama anymore. The we hate Kyrie thing. We do. And we should. He's a burden. He's a miserable, miserable burden. And he hasn't changed, and he's still the same. And he's going to napalm things in Dallas eventually too. Don't you worry and all that. But you beat him. It's been proven that the Celtics are better off without him. Brown and Tatum had their coronation in Kyrie's face. This path for the Celtics, which is not the path they wanted to take, ended up working out just fine. It's over. We don't need to do the Kyrie thing. It's done. It's over. Thank God. Because it's kind of exhausting. Aren't you exhausted by it? You destroyed the guy. You ruined the guy. And you know what? I mean, good for you. Good for Celtics fans for making his life miserable. Hopefully, not in a bad way, but making his life miserable, in games 1, 2, and 5, because he couldn't perform here. So, you affected the series in a positive way for the Celtics. That's a good thing. But I just hope we can move on at this point. It's exhausting. The Kyrie narratives, the Kyrie story, it's done. We won. He lost. The good guys won. The end. The end. 617-779-0985. Jimmy is in Rozzy. What's up, Jimmy?
Hey, MMC, brother.
How you doing?
The winners and new champions, your Boston Celtics. For the 6th straight year, we have a new champion in the NBA. And yes, the partners in crime, hopefully, and everyone else that is involved in the situation that came down on Monday night. Now we're into early Tuesday. We'll see what's next as far as they can win another one. That is to be determined. And what an effort across the board, including Brad Stevens, who did a surprisingly bang-up job as GM. I know he was coach prior to this and all that kind of stuff. A very interesting situation, to say the least.
No doubt about it, Jimmy. It was a combined effort, and Stevens put together an outstanding basketball team. An outstanding basketball team that just worked. It just clicked. And everybody had to make some form of sacrifice, and they all talked about that tonight. And you hope that is sustainable moving forward. I would like to think that it is. But there's no doubt about it. I mean, this is one of the best teams I've seen. I mean, it's I'd still probably take the 08 Celtics over the 24 Celtics. That's probably a little bit biased because, as I mentioned earlier, you never forget your first. And, if you're my age, if you're 33, that was, your first championship, and Pierce and Garnett. And I feel a slightly stronger emotional attachment to that team. So maybe my view is biased. But this is a damn good team. This is a damn good team. And when healthy, when Porzingis is at his, that guy's a freak, man. He is a freak. And Brown and Tatum came into their own, particularly Jaylen Brown. It's a hell of a story. It's a hell of a team. Charlie in Worcester. Charlie.
Hey, how's it going, Matt? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Doing excellent, man. It's been a long wait since 2008.
It has been. I'm right there with you.
I want to talk about Peyton Pritchard.
Go for it.
He could start in 90% of other teams, but I want him to stay.
I don't think he could start on 90% of other teams. I don't. And actually, he didn't. I don't know if he had a great series. He hit some big shots, right? He played 1 minute tonight. Peyton Pritchard played 1 minute. So don't tell me that he could start on 90% of other teams. Is he a role player? Yeah. Let's just keep it at what it is. And he goes out there and isn't afraid to shoot when, quarters are expiring. And you saw that tonight. Dallas and Dante Exum didn't want to shoot. They had a rebound with, 4 seconds left to go in the first quarter, and they just held it. What are you doing? That is amazing. It's stunning. So, give Peyton Pritchard credit. He's not afraid to miss a shot, unlike Dante Exum, apparently, who just held the ball and cradled it like it was his baby. No, I'm good. Why don't you take that one home with you to Dallas when you lose this series 4-1, guy? Wow. That was a bad moment. 617-779-0985. Chris in Woodstock. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Matt. How are you?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Hey, one of the weirdest things is that a lot of people are talking about, like, Danny Ainge getting a ring.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I got you, man.
Oh, I was just curious. There's a lot of other people that are actually in the Celtics organization that probably should deserve a ring, and that should be probably one John Wallach.
There we go. We're going to start the Give John Wallach a Ring campaign. Wallach will be on at 6. Hey, give him a call then. Ask him if he wants a ring. Ask him if he deserves a ring. Do that. But it's me up until then. It's McCarthy. No national shows, none of that. Here with you. Phone lines open for you at 617-779-0985. We continue all night long on the Sports Hub.
We have Celtics coverage all night long, people. You don't want to leave your radio.
The party continues in a moment on the Sports Hub.
I'd like to use a shock.
He is in absolute shock. His teammates just pounding him. Jalen moved to tears. The MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals. He holds the trophy in his left hand over his head.
And look at Tatum clapping for him. Happy for him.
I thought that was such a great moment. It was such a deserved moment for Jaylen Brown, who has always been considered, say what you will, but he has always been considered second to Jason Tatum, second fiddle. And in these playoffs, he proved that he's closer to Tatum than a lot of people wanted to give him credit for. Not everybody. I mean, we've always gotten calls. I mean, for 7 years, 8 years, it's been the debate, Brown or Tatum. Which one would you keep? Which one would you move on from? Jason Tatum has more skills. He was more polished entering the league, but Brown's more competitive. I mean, we've done this forever, right? But the consensus has always been is that it's Jason Tatum's team because he's the most talented offensive player and is the most polished coming out of college and all of that. And Brown has always been considered the second guy. And he proved in these playoffs that it really is a duo. It's not Tatum then Brown, not Brown then Tatum. It's the Jays. Corny as it sounds, it is. And I love how Joe Mazzulla brought him out of the game at the same time. Love that. Thought that was appropriate because the drafting of both of those players started this era, laid the foundation for this championship, which was a long time coming in many ways. As I said at the beginning of the program, I mean, it's been, they've failed. They've fallen flat on their face. 3 years ago, they were 25-25, and we were talking about breaking them up, and I was on that train. And here they are. Here they are tonight, which was their coronation. They have arrived. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown should going forward be considered on the same level. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It shouldn't be held against Jason Tatum that he's not Finals MVP. It shouldn't be held against Jason Tatum that he needed Jaylen Brown. I can hear the takes now. Oh, Jason Tatum needed Jaylen Brown. See what Jaylen did on Luka. Enough. They've won. They've accomplished everything you wanted them to do. They've won. Why is it bad that they're both kind of on the same level? Because I'll tell you what, I feel after these playoffs that there really is very little difference in that. I mean, they're different players, right? They're different styles. They couldn't be more different themselves. But in regards to importance to the team, I don't think it's a 1A thing. I think it's a 1-1 thing. I think Brown and Tatum need to be considered on the exact same level.
And I'm not big into participation awards, so what I'm suggesting, but is it plausible that they just could have been co-MVPs, and would that have been acceptable if Adam Silver had announced that?
I mean, it's probably happened before. I mean, I can tell you in baseball, I mean, Johnson and Schilling were co-MVPs of the 2001 World Series, so I think there are 9 voters. I mean, there were 9 voters for the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So, I mean, theoretically, if you went 4-4 and Drew Holiday split one, you would have co-MVPs. But, I mean, I loved what Jaylen said. He said this, my partner in crime, Jason Tatum. And, he acknowledged that those two are joined at the hip. And I hope they're joined at the hip for a long time because they've proven that they could win. And, you could say, it would have been, here's the thing, George. It would have been fitting if those guys were co-MVPs because they have gotten to this spot because of both of those guys. This was the path the Celtics were forced to choose when Kyrie left. It's Brown and Tatum, and we hand the reins of the franchise over to those guys. And they did even more of that this past offseason by trading Marcus Smart and really, truly letting those guys be the leaders of the team and all that. It would have been fitting had they been named co-MVPs, but I don't think there's any question. Brown was the MVP of this series. He was better than Jason Tatum. That's not a knock on Jason Tatum. He was better than Jason Tatum, but Brown covered Luka for 5 straight games, took him up and down the floor, hit probably bigger shots in this series than Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown was the MVP of this series. He was.
Now, is it made any sweeter that we did beat Kyrie in this series? Considering in 21 when he left for the Nets, and he'd been on basically a losing streak since. But is it more all the more sweeter because we did get to defeat Kyrie?
I think it's sweeter for most Celtics fans. I just don't quite share that. To be totally honest, I'm kind of over the Kyrie thing. I think it's a great full circle story, and it's a great full circle moment. So I love that angle of it. I think that's awesome that the Celtics wanted to hitch their wagons to Kyrie. He didn't want to marry them. We talk in 2019. It's Kyrie leaving them at the altar, and Danny Ainge and his comments about wanting to get married on July 1st and all that. I think that's the story. Is that they wanted Kyrie, he didn't want them, which forced them down this path, and it ended up being the right path. I love that story. The whole Kyrie is the villain thing. I mean, he's insufferable. He's a burden. He's just miserable. But I don't find it any sweeter. It's like, yeah, we beat Kyrie. I don't know. I'm just not there. I think most Celtics fans are there, and I don't blame you for feeling that way. I'm not disparaging you for it. I'm sure somebody will tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I'm sure they'll disparage you for it. I don't feel that way, but that doesn't mean that I don't hold that against you for feeling that way. For whatever reason, I buried that Kyrie thing a long time ago. I don't like the guy. I think he's insufferable. The whole I've changed act is offensive to me. It is absolutely offensive to me, but other than that, who cares? Who cares? It's over. Let's put it in the past. 617-779-0985. Matt in Lowell. We are huge in Lowell tonight. Hey, Matt.
I know, brother. Am I right? Like Wolves represent tonight, I guess, huh?
Hell yeah. Hey, that's the 4th largest city in the Commonwealth, man. You got it. Or 5th.
I know, right?
5th, I think.
It's
Boston,
got its character. At least that's what I always say.
Boston, Worcester, Springfield, Cambridge, then Lowell. You're 5. Not bad.
Hey, top 5 works for me, brother. Hey, bud, let's go. I mean, first of all the credit in the world to Brad Stevens. Trading for Derek White, and this year, tell me this isn't spot on. He traded a beloved Celtic, a longtime Celtic, for an injury-prone center who's a game changer. Reminiscent of Bill Walton, rest his soul, when they traded Cedric Maxwell for Bill Walton, and in this case, Marcus Smart for Porzingis. Tell me that's not spot on.
I mean, I've heard people make that comparisons, Matt, and it's up there, right? I mean, at least the Walton trade, Max had helped the Celtics when they needed to move on from Marcus Smart. They needed to. And the whole, if you think they should give a ring to Marcus Smart, I've heard there's some people out there who think they should give a ring to Marcus Smart. Like, are you on crack? What? Huh? Give a ring to Danny Ainge. Yeah, he built the foundation. He laid the foundation for this team. Marcus Smart held this team back by the end. But you want to give a ring to the guy? What? Huh? Makes no sense. 617-779-0985. No commercials here. No headlines here. More of your calls. 2 hours down. 2 hours to go. I'm not ready to sleep. You're not ready to sleep. Some of you are getting up right now. This is the 4 a.m. get in the car, go to work crowd that we're about to start servicing. We've been servicing the Uber drivers. We've been servicing the the overnight crew, people on the forklifts, people driving the trucks, third shift, doctors, nurses, you name it. Drunks and degenerates who don't want to go to bed. That's what we're here for tonight. When we come back, again, no commercials, we have a Celtics montage that you don't want to miss. But first, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. It's Matt McCarthy on the Sports Hub.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is the flagship station of the world champion Boston Celtics.
Derek White is just back into the corner for three.
WBZ-FM and HD Bus 98.5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station.
Tatum has been spectacular.
This is Jason Tatum.
Right corner against Embiid. Tatum for a 50-piece.
You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Now more of the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party. We are the new king. On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
With the third pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Jaylen Brown from the University of California, Berkeley.
I'm Jaylen Brown, California, Berkeley, right up the street. One day I'll be here in this final.
With the third pick in the 2017 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Jason Tatum from Duke University.
I want to be an NBA player. I want to be the best player in the world.
Bounce pass for Tatum. Tatum left-hand dribble drives on. Flushes hard on LeBron James. He couldn't block that one. Sometimes you wait for the torch to be passed, and sometimes you say, I better go take it. And LeBron James, who has done everything there is to do in the NBA, is going to take a team that no one believed in and bring them back to the NBA Finals.
And this trade has people buzzing.
The Celtics welcome Kyrie Irving to Boston.
I shared it with some of my teammates as well as the organization and everyone else in Boston. You guys will have me back. I plan on re-signing here next year.
Obviously, it wasn't the easiest transition to deal with. You know, there's a lot going on personally while I was there in Boston that a lot of people don't know about.
The final score in Game 5, Brooklyn 123, Boston 109. The Celtics are eliminated in round 1.
I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had in Boston.
The Boston Celtics have found their new head coach. According to multiple reports, it's Nets assistant Ime Udoka.
It seemed impossible. For 3 years, they went through setback, through injuries, through heartbreak, and it felt for all the world like their time had passed. But the gold has risen to the top, and the Warriors are NBA champions again.
As you know, Ime Udoka has been suspended for the upcoming season for breaking team rules.
Who's going to coach the team now?
Yeah, Joe's going to be in charge. You know, it's not an easy timing for him or the rest of the staff, but he's an exceptionally sharp and talented person.
The clock hits triple zeros. The Miami Heat are back in the NBA Finals. And for the Celtics, a season of what-ifs fueled by a dominant start, a dominant finish, an unforgettable comeback in Game 7 to reach the Final Four, and a 6-day march towards history, making everyone believe the impossible was in reach. That season of what-ifs now becomes a summer of what's next.
You have to break up the duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It's time to break it up.
Boston gets what they had wanted all along. Kristaps Porzingis along their front line. He opts into that $36 million in his deal. And all of a sudden, you've got something of a blockbuster here on the eve of the NBA draft.
Got to pay a good price for things, right? But that's how good we...
Sports Hub overnight Celtics party. Is that what they're calling it? Whatever they're calling it. I'm calling it the Matt McCarthy hostile takeover. I will not yield. I will not yield. Sleep is for the weak. Losers, as Scott Zolak would say. Sleep is for losers.
I feel like Ron Burgundy and his crew, the second anchor man, where we're doing the New York overnight.
Yeah. I don't think I saw the second anchor man. Maybe I saw parts of it. Yeah, it goes like global, right? He ends up at CNN or something like that.
Yeah, we had to get the as high ratings as we can overnight, baby. Celtics won.
Rule number 1, if you're doing a sequel 20 years after the original, it's not going to be good. It's just not.
You do have to give it a chance, though.
16 years it's been since the Celtics won. 16 years. That team, Pierce, Garnett, Allen, should have won one more. Is this team positioned to win more than one? I fully believe so, and I think you should too. 617-779-0985. We're huge all over the country. Call from Berlin earlier. Let's go to Hugh in San Diego. How you doing, Hugh?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, tonight I sat next to a Lakers fan and a Golden State Warriors fan, and I got to just watch them fall to pieces in front of me as the Celtics just dominated the Mavericks. You know, I've listened to you guys, all week, all weekend, whatever, saying a lot of negativity about the Celtics, but they have continued to be dominant, and they have crushed the hearts of all Californians. And as an East Coast person on the West Coast, I absolutely love to see it. Go Celtics. They're going to win next year. And go Red Sox, beating the absolute living daylights out of the goddamn Yankees this weekend.
All right, thanks, Hugh. Appreciate it. Thanks for checking in from San Diego. Let's go to Indianapolis. That's where Eric is. Hey, Eric.
Yes, good morning, my friend, and thank you for taking my call.
I guess it is morning now. How you doing?
I'm doing well with a world title. I'm a longtime Celtic fan. I go back to the days of JoJo White, Dave Cowens, and that group, and, of course, Larry from Indiana, as you know. And what a great accomplishment for Brad Stevens. And you know what he did here in Indy at Butler. I mean, I'm also a Pacer fan. I do agree with you. I think the Pacers were the second best team in the maybe in the league, but definitely in the East. But Brad has he's done it, man.
And you can't have him back, Eric. He can never go back to Indiana. 3 years ago, people were saying, "Oh, Brad doesn't want to be an executive. Why? He wants to be a coach. He wants to go coach at IU or whatever. Oh, the Pacers job is open. Maybe Brad wants to do that." Are you kidding me? Are you nuts? He's got the best gig on planet Earth. What's better, coaching a team, doing practice, cutting up film, going on the road, doing back-to-backs in Cleveland and then Minneapolis, then coming back home and then flying to Dallas and flying to Houston and doing that? What's better, doing that or sitting up in a booth looking at the team you built win a championship? What a transition for Brad Stevens. From good head coach, and he was a very good head coach, got way more out of those bridge year Celtics teams than he ever should have, to now this, to being, I think, one of the best executives in sports. I called it earlier, one of the most significant moves in Celtics history, bringing Brad Stevens to Boston in 2013 as obviously a hotshot young coach out of Butler, and wow, has he done everything you could have wanted him to do and more. From coaching to now building this team as an executive, one of the most significant and important moves in my lifetime as a Celtics fan, bringing Brad Stevens in. And they took a chance on him. They did. Obviously he was the face of that program in college, but you wondered, how would some guy from Indiana, Jones did it for years, G. Willikers, how would he handle, being in Boston and being the coach and, going from, having, being able to recruit guys to taking over a team with, Phil Pressey and Chris Humphrey, like what, huh? And he got way more out of those rosters than he ever should have, and took the foundation that Danny Ainge laid and turned it into one hell of a roster with a bright future. One of the most important moves they've made in a long time, bringing Brad Stevens here in 2013. 617-779-0985. I want to jump Derek in Foxborough on Brad Stevens. Hi, Derek.
Yeah, I give Brad Stevens most of the credit. I know Ainge, obviously drafted Tatum and Brown, but he was asleep at the wheel by the end of it. That roster, his last season, it was Tristan Thompson, Evan Fournier. Like, he never properly surrounded Brown and Tatum like the way Stevens did, Holiday, Porzingis, Horford. And, so they weren't getting over the hump, I think, with Ainge. I think it was time for him to go, and, I give Brad Stevens most of the credit.
Derek, I couldn't agree more. Ainge laid the foundation. Nailing the draft, don't ever, ever, ever underestimate how important that was. He took Jaylen Brown when a lot of people would not have taken Jaylen Brown. Weren't we talking about like Chris Dunn with that pick? For a while, people felt like they should have taken Jamal Murray and they got the wrong guy. Nope, they got the right guy. Jaylen Brown is better than Jamal Murray. And he traded down. He traded down from first overall to third overall with the Sixers when everybody felt they should take Markelle Fultz. And he took Jason Tatum. Don't ever underestimate how important that was. Danny Ainge absolutely laid the foundation, but you couldn't be more right. By the end, he was gun-shy. He had gotten burned by Kyrie because he never planned on building around Brown and Tatum. He wanted to draft those guys and develop them, and then eventually turn them into veteran co-stars for Kyrie. Anthony Davis being the primary target there. And that almost happened. If Kyrie had his little meltdown 6 months later, Brown and Tatum are probably out the door, and Anthony Davis and somebody else is probably in here. And I don't know if that would have worked out because Kyrie would have eventually lost his mind, and what would you be left with? an older Anthony Davis, I don't know if that's enough. Certainly wouldn't have been enough. And by the end, he didn't quite know what to do. He hoarded his draft picks. He kept guys like Langford and Neesmith, and Stevens came in immediately, started trading draft picks, started trading those guys, and as a result, ended up with the likes of Al Horford, first-round pick out the door for Al Horford, Derek White, Romeo Langford, and a first-round pick out the door for him. Neesmith traded for Brogdon, who won Sixth Man of the Year and then was flipped for Kristaps, and then was, almost flipped for Kristaps Porzingis. That didn't work out, so they traded Marcus Smart, and then Brogdon was included in the package for Drew Holiday. Chess checkers. Brad Stevens. What a job he's done. All as a first-time executive, too. It's remarkable. It really is. Let's go to John in Foxborough. We're huge in Foxborough tonight, too. Hey, John.
I know. Well, actually, I'm on 128 driving, but you know, Matt, I go back to 72, and that was the first year I followed them, and I was a big Havlicek fan, and when I remember being in the Muni building in Hyde Park in 78, the summer of 78, and someone said, this guy Bird's coming, and I was like, Bird? What's a bird? And then they were so good that I just expected them to win. But not since Havlicek have I rooted for two guys, because I believe Brown and Tatum have a lot of the characters of Havlicek, and they play Havlicek was in better shape, but they're great players. So I think we all rooted for Tatum and Brown so much to win because they're good guys. We wanted them to win, but they failed kind of so much that I'm really so happy for, the Celtics and Tatum and Brown. And, there's something about the Celtics winning. It's a legendary team. There's very few legendary teams in sports. And it just makes you feel like Russell, Red, all those guys, Sam Jones and Casey. There's such a legendary team that's just a great thing for the Boston Celtics to once again rule the galaxy.
You got it, John. But they haven't quite been that for the last 40 years. And yes, you're totally right. It's, you can't be the whole true Celtic thing. It's kind of like the true Yankee thing. You can't be a true Celtic until you win. Like, the whole thing about people wanting, Marcus Smart to have a ring and like, put 36 up in the rafters. You can't put anybody up in the rafters if they haven't won a title here. And Marcus Smart was no doubt holding this team back. But it's about building a new legacy, too. It's not just about, being up there with Hondo and Russell and Sam and Casey and all those guys and Tommy. That was a long time ago. And listen, you were hanging out, at the Muni building with my dad in Hyde Park in 78. Probably knows you. Most precious blood if you went there, because you're probably about the same age down there in Hyde Park. But keep in mind, the Celtics have now won twice, essentially in the last 40 years, close to it. If you're my age, you're 33, this is the second title the Celtics have had. You need to be 45 years old to go back to 1986 or whatever it is to remember it, or 84, that age. You got to be over the age of 50, at this point to, have much of a connection with those 86 Celtics. So it's an historic franchise. There's no doubt about it. Banner 18 means something. But now it's about success in this day and age. Now it's about success in this era. Because there hasn't quite been enough of it. Again, my lifetime, the Celtics' second championship, for a lot of you out there, it's a hell of a lot different. You remember 18, 16, 14, 10, 5, whatever it is. This group is positioned to do something that no Celtics team has done since the 80s, which is win multiple titles. Garnett, Pierce, Allen should have. And if they stayed a little healthier, I firmly believe they would have won in 2009. No doubt. If KG stays healthy, I'm still waiting for KG to come back in 2009. That was 15 years ago. I'm still waiting. 2010, if Perk doesn't get hurt, do you win Game 7? I think you probably do. Kobe, 6 out of 24 in that game. Still stings me to this day. Now it's about winning another. They're in a position to do that. Let's really put them up there with the Celtics greats. So that involves winning multiples. I think they can do it. I do. 617-779-0985. It has been hard to get a phone line tonight. Trust me when I say that. We've been going since 2. We're going until 6. Now's a good opportunity to do it. We're transitioning now into the early morning crowd. Sounded like John was heading into work. He's out on 128. He's beating the rush. Trust me, I do that too, John, coming from your neck of the woods. Got to get on 95 early to get up to 128. I get it. This is the early crowd. The electricians. The folks getting up to work the job site. Beat the early morning rush into the city or at the tech companies out on 128. You name it. We are here for you. We're here until 6. It's McCarthy on the Sports Hub.
Stay tuned as the party continues on the home of your world champion. Overnight party on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
We did it. We did it! Oh, my God, we did it.
Institution back there, that one. It's Matt McCarthy hanging out with you. Thanks to everybody on YouTube, everybody in the chat. I haven't been in there tonight. It's been busy. We've got these minute-long breaks or whatever it is. I'll dive in there when I can. But I see you. Everybody on Twitter, at Matt McCarthy 98.5, and everybody on the phone lines, which we go to early and often. We've been going to all night long because you've been there. And we'll continue to go to you if you keep calling, and I know you will. Henry and Quincy. What's up, Henry?
Can I just say, what a hell of a 16 years. From the 08 championship to trading KG and Paul Pierce, to Isaiah Thomas and fucking Avery Bradley.
Well, we got to let you go on that. Thanks for the call. There we go. It's only the second time we've had to hit that button tonight. But I agree. To Avery Bradley. Everything in between. You think about it, 16 years feels like a long time, and it is a long time. 16 years ago tonight, or last night, 2008 Celtics. That is a long time by our standards in this town. It's a long time. But it's also not all that long. Like, this rebuild did happen relatively quickly. 11 years, 12 years at this point since the Pearson-Garnett trade. And that set in motion all of this. 11 years since the Celtics rebuild. And that's what last night was about. Tonight, whatever it is. I'm going to be referring to it as tonight. That's just the way it is. It's probably tonight for a lot of people out there, too. They are positioned for success for years to come. Because of everything that happened since 2008. Falling short in 2010. Falling short in 2012. Trading Pearson Garnett. Getting those Nets picks. Nailing it with Brown and Tatum. Bringing in Kyrie with that third Nets pick. And you thought that was going to skyrocket them in 2018. And Tatum dunks on LeBron. And Kyrie's coming back from his injury. And okay, it's going to be good. You get Gordon Hayward coming back from his injury. And we're about to take off. And it's been an interesting 5 years. It's been a bumpy 5 years. It was supposed to be Kyrie and Gordon Hayward and Horford, and Brown and Tatum were supposed to get out of here, shipped out for veteran co-stars, and that did not happen. And here we are 5 years later, 5 years after the ultimate crossroads for this franchise, 16 years after they last won the title, everything put in motion, coming to the crossroads 5 years ago. And now we are 5 years later, after Kyrie walks out the door, you're forced to go with Brown and Tatum, and this is your result. Pretty damn good result, isn't it? Let's go to Oliver in Auburn. Hey, Oliver.
Hey, Matt. First time caller. Driving home from work to Auburn. So when in 08, I was in high school. It was amazing, right? Mm-hmm. They won. This is a whole new level for me because I was in the city, and when I went to lunch, the whole city erupted because the Celtics won, man, and it was crazy. It was absolutely insane, and I'm just glad Tatum got 30 points. I wish he got the triple-double, but, I'm glad Brown got the MVP because he was the star of the series.
He was no doubt the star of the series, Oliver, and thanks for checking in. You did put Oliver down, George, as an old-timer. You called him an old-timer. You said he was in his 30s.
Look at that. He was the first time, long time. He sounded long in the tooth to my...
He didn't sound long in the tooth. What are you talking about?
McCarthy, it's in parentheses.
Lockhart, can I get a thumbs up? Did he sound long in the tooth, yes or no? He wasn't paying attention?
No, he
didn't sound long in the tooth.
He's hard at work.
He didn't sound like some old... the first thing, with the old-timers you get, I watched Havlicek. I didn't get one Havlicek mention in that call.
All right, hey.
My God.
Well, to lift the veil behind the curtain, it's in parentheses.
I don't know what the parentheses...
Don't read the parentheses.
I don't have any... It was A, not in parentheses, and B, I don't know what the parents would have to do with that at all. It was not an old-timer. Shame. Ageist back there, George. It's unbelievable. My God. Matt in Hawaii. Hey, it's still nighttime there. Hi, Matt.
How you doing, Matt?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing very good. It's a beautiful night in Hawaii, man.
I'm sure.
So I can't believe they finally did it, man. I'm so happy. I mean, you could tell from the tip off, that was just not the same team we saw, and in Game 4 anyway. So
no doubt.
I can't even believe it.
I'm right there with you. Enjoy it in Hawaii. It's not a bad spot to be tonight. Again, no spot I'd rather be here. What I'm trying to say is there is no spot I would rather be than here. It's been a long night. What can I say? Hawaii wouldn't be a bad spot to be right now, though. Wouldn't be so bad. But you were totally right. They came out different tonight. We haven't really talked about the game. The game itself. They defended and they rebounded their way to a championship tonight. We've talked about the 08 Celtics a lot, and defense was undeniably their hallmark. But this team learned that lesson too. I think about, the defensive lapses and the defensive problems that team had last year. And Malcolm Brogdon called them out for it after Game 7. They were not good enough defensively last year. They were more than good enough defensively tonight. And that has to do with the changes that Brad Stevens made. That has to do with bringing in Porzingis, bringing in Holiday. I'd even say getting rid of Smart. I mean, Smart was not the defensive player he was last year that he was 2 years ago. Everybody bought in. Everybody contributed. Defense and rebounding. I mean, think about it. Compared to Game 4, where the Celtics, didn't rebound a lick. They won the rebounding battle tonight by far. They won it by 16, 51-35. Had 15 offensive rebounds tonight. They wanted it more than Dallas. Dallas didn't show up in this game. They didn't. Celtics suffocated them early on, but I think this game in some ways for Dallas was lost in the first few minutes because they realized the Celtics came to defend tonight, and you could just see they knew. Boston was so much better in this series. I don't quite think Dallas was all that great. I still think Indiana was the best team the Celtics played all the way. In the 4 series leading to this championship. I know they swept them, and that's a young team, and they made a lot of mistakes at the end of games. But I think Indiana was better than Dallas.
It's really an underrated team. And the games that they played specifically in games 3 and 4 without Halliburton, It's a testament to that team. They play hard. Rick Carlisle's a great coach. And I would say that the Celtics had defensive lapses and missed Porzingis big time in that series. And definitely battle-tested them for all the quote-unquote, the path talk. Celtics haven't really been battle-tested, and the competition is subpar. I think Indiana gave them a run for the money despite the sweep, competitive sweep, like we did to the Nets on the path to the finals a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think Indiana was better without Halliburton. I do.
I think so as well, too. They definitely distributed the ball more and drove it to the basket a lot more, and it didn't stop with Halliburton the way it kind of does with Kyrie and Luka.
Real quick on the Mavericks, because, again, it's 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm not doing Mavericks talk. Luka's a problem. Luka's a problem for them. He is a tremendous offensive player and an absolute joy to watch at times. I mean, it's different. It's lumbering. It's this. It's that. He is not conditioned. Dude actually looks like me. Like, legitimately, we've got some same features, and I'm not just talking about the conditioning. He looks like me. Certainly doesn't shoot it like me, though. But I'm not convinced he makes everybody on that team better. He slows them down so much. I think he holds them back in some ways. And I know they got to the NBA Finals, but he's got to get better. He's got to get way better, because I don't think he's ready to win. And that Mavericks team was not ready to compete tonight. Stephen A. ripped them at the half. And again, I think the story is about the Celtics and the way they came out. They were ready to win a championship tonight. They weren't ready on Friday night. They were ready to win a championship tonight. It was obvious early on. They came out with defensive intensity. They rebounded. They were ready to win tonight. And Dallas knew it early on. They saw the way the Celtics came out, and the Celtics controlled that game from the jump. 48 minutes. That was a nearly complete game for the Celtics. They weren't as good offensively in the second half as they were in the first, but they defended, and they rebounded, and they hustled and outplayed Dallas for 48 minutes.
True coronation.
48 minutes. A complete game, which we've often held against the Celtics. In the Brown and Tatum era, we've said there are too many lapses. They get too comfortable. There were no lapses tonight. Tonight was, to your point, it was the coronation. It was the culmination of everything that they have built towards, and it's a hell of a night.
And a prototypical Celtics win. To quote Joe Murray, they've been a front-running team all year.
Well, they didn't play a front-runner style tonight. They were out ahead because they were the better team.
Yeah, front-running from the point of getting out ahead and getting a sizable lead, and then playing off the runs after you get the double-digit lead.
They were just better. They were better than everybody, and they showed you again tonight.
Best team in the league.
617-779-0985. We're going all night. We're going all the way until Toucher and Hardy. I guess it's not night anymore. It's morning. Whatever it is. It's McCarthy hanging out with you on the Sports Hub. We continue.
Stay tuned for more of the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Summer is here, and so are the seasonal flavors you love at your local 99 restaurant. Try the new fresh strawberry chicken salad, jumbo shrimp scampi, or the lobster-topped baked stuffed haddock. You gotta love the nines.
Roto-Rooter. Plumbing problem? Leaks are no match for DIY duct tape. And a wrench. And a towel, more duct tape, a hammer, this random tube I found in the basement, another bucket, more tape, a little more tape. Perfect.
Maybe leave plumbing to the pros at Roto.
Boston Celtics, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Now, you're listening to the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Matt McCarthy hanging out with you. Got room for you, 617-779-0985. I must say this is a very nice surprise. We have, I've been saying all night long, we're here for the overnight workers, the Uber drivers. I've mentioned the media a few times. people working into the early hours of the morning over at the Garden, and one of those people was just kind enough to call in. I got to jump him to the top of the line. Are you still at the Garden, B-Rob, or have you gotten home? It's Brian Robb from Mass Live. What's up, B-Rob? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm driving home. I forgot that the man, the myth, McCarthy, doing the overnight as is tradition. So I got to get my guy a call in the 4 o'clock hour here.
Dude, well, hopefully we'll keep you awake as you're driving home. What was that atmosphere? What was the arena like tonight, B-Rob?
I mean, it was pretty electric from the start. And once, honestly, like, the biggest cheers of the night went to, I feel like, when Porzingis came out and got into that game. He obviously didn't do a ton, but I think that was just an extra jolt for our team, for the team on a night when everyone was juiced up for a massive Game 5 anyway. And then once they went on those big runs, once Pritchard did that monster shot hanging at halftime, it seemed like it was pretty much done from there. But it was on a night that, Dallas maybe made Celtics fans think a little bit after that game for McCarthy. This was a night where I think the Celtics took command of the game, and Luka and Kyrie just had nothing to throw at the Celtics team and at the Garden crowd.
What's your number one takeaway from this experience, B-Rob? Just this team winning Banner 18. I mean, I think we're all going to go in slightly different places. What's your number one takeaway?
Honestly, this is a situation where, this could be the start of something big, McCarthy. I agree. They are set up here to run it back next year, and then things get tough after that. But with the leap that Jaylen Brown has made this season, and Tatum being willing to sacrifice more for the team and not, get up 20, 25 shots a game when teams are daring him to do that, and you look at White, you look at Drew Holiday being signed long-term, it's set up to put this team in a really good spot right now because the rest of the Eastern Conference, everyone's getting older or just don't have the ability to build the teams like they used to with this new CBA coming up. So I see this as being like they got over the hump, and now we'll see how many they can put together here in the next few years.
Brian Robb joining us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. The jump that Jaylen Brown made this year, B-Rob, and you just mentioned it. Let's not forget a year ago, I mean, there were people questioning as to whether the Celtics should give him that max contract, whether he was worth it, whether he was deserving of it after the 8-turnover performance against Miami in Game 7. He shut those people up, and I was one of those. I mean, how could you not be after what you saw last year? The jump he made from last year to this year, B-Rob, I think in some ways that is the perhaps individual storyline of the playoffs when it comes to any players on the Celtics, the jump that Jaylen Brown has made.
Without a doubt. Just the consistency he showed throughout the postseason here. It was, he may have been the best player on the Celtics during the postseason, but he was there regularly night in and night out. And for him to take down the East Finals MVP after that brutal Game 7 last year against the Heat, and then followed up tonight where I wasn't sure if he was going to get McCarthy. That honestly surprised me a little bit that the voting went so strongly in his favor, but it makes sense when you just look at Tatum had I think an overall a good series, but clearly the shooting was not there. And I think this is the voters rewarding Jaylen Brown for, being there night in and night out throughout this entire series outside of Game 4 there. And for him to come back from Game 7, sign that deal with all that pressure on him this year, and come back and deliver like this, it's really set him up, clearly we wondered, a couple years ago, okay, is, Jaylen Brown, how long is he going to be in Boston? And now you can see that he's probably going to be here as long as he wants to be here.
I mean, last year, let's not forget, B-Rob, it did take a while for them to ultimately get that deal done, even though we all knew it was going to get signed. But, I said at the time, the reason it was taking so long is because neither side really, truly wanted to sign it. The Celtics didn't want to give him $305 million. They knew they had to. Brown was maybe thinking about, where he could be elsewhere. Maybe he could be the, the number one guy somewhere else. I think it's a completely different conversation a year later. I don't see how you can move on from Jaylen Brown. I thought there was no way a year ago that he was going to play out that full contract here. Now I think there's no way you can break up Brown and Tatum at this point. Not a chance.
Right. This was the window here. they had to get it done in these next 2 years, or else then the time would probably come to like, okay, we can't afford to keep these guys together if they haven't been able to do it by this point. But now they've shown it, and they played off each other, I think, as well as ever throughout this playoff run. And now is situations like you have two guys entering their prime, locked up for the next 5-6 years now. And that is a pretty special situation if you're Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzulla. And just for Jalen, he's improved every year in his career, McCarthy, but I just never knew he'd be able to get to this level with his playmaking and passing, where it was just such a weakness early in his career. And now for what he was able to do there and what he was able to do defensively in this series against Luka Doncic, like he hounded him throughout Game 5 and just throughout this series, and made it look like, I don't know, Luka was hurt, whatever was going on with him. But at the same time, Jaylen Brown was, I think, clearly the best player in the series, and the Celtics probably had the best two players in this series when push comes to shove, and that's why they took care of the Mavs so promptly here.
Is there much of a difference between Brown and Tatum at this point? I mean, I think most Celtics fans would have said a year ago, 2 years ago, that there was not a significant difference, but enough of a difference where it's Tatum and then it's Brown and there's a gap there. How much has that gap been closed?
It's close, like a good amount. It's still there. I mean, for all that Jason Kidd wants to say that Jaylen Brown is the best player in the Celtics, like he may have been in this series, but Jason Tatum is the guy teams are still going to game plan for, whether it's in the NBA Finals or just night in, night out in the regular season, more so than Jaylen Brown. But the fact that the gap was closed to the point now where it's like you look at the fact that Jaylen Brown didn't make an All-NBA team this year, and you're like, that doesn't make a lot of sense when you look at some of the guys that made it and what Jaylen Brown was able to do during this postseason run. So it's just evident now that he keeps taking leaps in his career, time to time, like on both ends of the floor. He took another big one this year with all the pressure on him. And now the gap gets either it's going to get closer and closer between the two, or Tatum is going to get better and better too. And that either way, that's very good news for the Celtics.
How much better can Jason Tatum get?
A lot better shooting-wise in this series, that's for sure. But it's as far as the other parts of his game, like he was just really rock steady with like the rebounding, the playmaking. I think the assists tonight were phenomenal. Just piling those up in the first half where he was setting up guys time and time again, even though the Mavs kept on, collapsing on him. And I liked the fact, too, he just got to the rim again and again. And that's something I think was a big leap for him throughout these struggles with the shooting, is like you lived with some of these nights, McCarthy, when he went, 6 of 20, 7-2, because I think the process was right for him. And he was still trying to take the right shots more than ever, as opposed to settling for contested stuff that used to make people pull their hair out at times watching from a fan standpoint in the playoffs. And so for him just to be there, working the process that way, I think was a big step forward for him, and the rest of his game was as good as ever as you could hope for a power forward that was having to guard centers for much of the series, but also could switch on to Kyrie and Luka and hold his own on that front too.
Brian Robb joining us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. You said your takeaway is that this could be the start of something special, start of something long-term for the Celtics, that, this might not be the only championship we see with this group, which I couldn't agree more about. Let's talk, though, about the future of the big men. Kristaps Porzingis told ESPN tonight that he needs surgery on his injury. It's going to take him a few months to recover from that. Obviously, he has a lengthy injury history. Is Al Horford going to retire? What's the future in the front court for the Celtics? I think, B-Rob, that's their biggest question moving into next year.
Yeah, that's certainly the area that they need to shore up even more so. Like, Porzingis is going to have this surgery. I would guess he misses maybe a chunk of the start of the season. Not to, I mean, he still has 4 months here, so we'll probably find more about that timeline in the next few days. But between that and keeping Al Horford healthy, certainly Horford's going to play another year at this point. He's under contract, but you want to protect him even more at age 38, and you need to protect Porzingis as you babied him as much as possible this year, injury-wise, and he still was only able to play, 5 games of the playoffs here. So that will be the question for how Brad Stevens and company can kind of shore that up. Tillman's a free agent. Cornette's a free agent. I would expect them probably to try to bring maybe both of those guys back, certainly just one of those guys, since they held their own quite well in these spots. And now do you go to the draft, or do you find someone that's looking for the ring, a veteran that's willing to sign for the veterans minimum? Because that's honestly, McCarthy, that's all they're going to have to be able to throw out free agents here. It's just like they're going to offer them the bare minimum because that's all they have to do with the new CBA, where the mid-level exception's gone and they're well over the cap. So that's what's there. But now you look pretty appealing to say, hey, who you want to come play 15, 20 minutes a game, and you can maybe start a bunch of games that Porzingis or Al sit out. That's the appealing place to be for a guy who needs a ring and saw this team just win a title right now. So it's that'll be the interesting subplot of the offseason here, but I think the Celtics are well equipped to maybe recruit well on that front.
B-Rob, what was the most significant move Brad Stevens has made since taking over for Danny Ainge?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say
it's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah.
It is a tough one. There's a lot of competition here. I would honestly say Drew Holiday. I think that you can make the case for Derek White. You can make the case for Porzingis. You can make the case for even, I think, Al Horford. But Drew Holiday, I think, was the piece that kind of put everything together at the end there, where you traded away Marcus Smart, you got Porzingis, but there was a lot of questions being like, okay, how is this all going to work defensively? Do they have enough pieces left here? And then when you get Drew Holiday, who is a better version of Marcus Smart on both ends of the floor, that just answered all those questions. And I don't know what the Bucks front office is doing tonight. They're probably looking out a window and being like, what did we do? Because they opened the door for this to happen. And now if Holiday re-signed for 4 years as of April now, it's going to be a long, tough nights against this Celtics backcourt for a long time.
Perfect player for what this team needed. I thought he was such a stabilizing force. I think Brown and Tatum needed a guy like that to help them, reach their potential. And maybe they haven't even reached their fullest potential, which, B-Rob has pointed out. This could really be the start of something special. B-Rob, before I let you go, because I know it's been a long night for you, your coverage at Mass Live, what should people go read about tonight?
Yeah, we're going to have things wall to wall. I wrote already a column about what Brad Stevens has on the docket coming up for next year and why they're kind of set up for the Dynasty. And then I also have a column coming up this morning looking at the unsung hero this whole night, Danny Ainge.
Love it. The foundation. Maybe he wasn't the closer. Maybe he wasn't what this team needed at the end, bringing in the veterans to support Brown and Tatum, but he laid the foundation. There's no doubt about it. Brian Robb, as always, great stuff. Go get some sleep, man, really.
You too, dude. You're why you're doing this. I love it.
Hey,
have fun.
Listen, sleep, as Scott Zolak would say, is for losers. No sleep tonight. A lot of you didn't sleep tonight. Why should I sleep? What does it mean? What, am I better than you? Am I allowed to sleep? No, none of us are allowed to sleep. Not on a night where the Celtics win a championship. Brian Robb, Mass Live, 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Show. You want to check out his great work there. 617-779-0985. I did 7 hours the night the Red Sox won in 2018. They only asked me to do 4 tonight. I could keep going. If Fred and Hardy don't want to come in till 9 o'clock, I can keep going. It's fine. I will not yield.
I have a replacement here for me in the control room. So
yeah, exactly. No, Lockhart, go home. Take the day off. Enjoy it. You're good, man. Just go celebrate this one, which is what you should do. Alex Barth tweeting out pictures of Causeway Street with the sun coming up there. That's what we want to see. After a night where the Celtics take Banner 18, we continue. It's McCarthy on the Sports Hub.
The party continues in a moment on the Sports Hub.
Hi.
Boston Sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today. Now more of the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party. We are the new kings on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Tatum switches to the left hand, attacks with the mid-block, stop and start on Lively, runs it off the window, scored in the foul. The world said, Jason Tatum, you have to show us with the championship on the line, and he has been the best player on the floor from the start of Game 5 to this very second.
What kind of trickery was that? Went back to the baseline, a la Michael Jordan this time, lays it up softly, gets hit with the body, counted and won.
The at times maligned Jason Tatum. Rightfully so, sometimes. The conversation about Tatum, though, was always a little bit out of hand. Because even on nights where he didn't shoot the ball well, and there were plenty of those, there were. Tonight was not one of those nights. Although it still wasn't all that efficient. It was 11 to 24. But he was excellent from start to finish tonight. But on nights where Jason Tatum did not shoot the ball well, he still made his team better, which is a next step for a superstar in this league. And I would compare him to to Luka on the other side, who on nights where he didn't shoot the ball at his best, did not make his team better. And yes, Jason Tatum has better players around him. There's no denying that. But Luka actively hurts his team with the pace that he plays at, and his inability to defend anybody, and his conditioning and all of that. He is a tremendous offensive player, and watching him shoot the ball, I mean, it's something else, man. And he's a great passer when he's involved in that portion of the game, as he was at times in these finals. But Tatum, as Brian Robb just said to us, was probably the second best player in this series. I might say Drew Holiday. I mean, he had a bad game Drew Holiday for 4 out of 5 games was excellent. But Tatum was better than Luka Doncic in this series. I don't even think it's close. Luka didn't have a game where he dominated for 48 minutes. That was Tatum tonight. He affected the game positively in just about every way. In Game 2, when Drew Holiday had 26, and I saw him saying this tonight on NBC Sports Boston with Scal and Eddie after the game, he said, 9 of those assists were to me. Tatum had, 11 assists that night, maybe even more? He had 11 assists again tonight. 2 rebounds shy of a triple-double. 45 minutes. Better condition than Giannis, that's for sure. Jason Tatum, greater than Luka Doncic. And I just referred to Luka as Giannis twice. Maybe that's because I have the fact that Giannis wanted Drew Holiday gone and wanted Dame Lillard in town in Milwaukee. Swing and a miss on that one. Giannis. Tatum, greater than Luka in this series. Your thoughts at 617-779-0985. Doesn't mean that Brown wasn't the best player in this series, because he was. Doesn't mean that Brown wasn't most deserving of MVP, because he was. No doubt about it. But Tatum showed up tonight, and he showed up in positive ways. Maybe not in his best ways, but he showed up in positive ways just about every night in these playoffs. When his shot was not there, he made his team better. And that's a level of maturity from Jason Tatum that I don't think he gets enough credit for. And just about everybody, to a man, after the game tonight said, JT sacrificed for us. It's basically the first thing that Al Horford said. JT sacrificed for us. Because other guys need their scoring. They need to get theirs, even on nights where the shot isn't falling. On nights where Tatum's shot was not falling, he made his teammates better. That's sacrifice. You're sacrificing your ego a little bit. Would everybody in the NBA be able to handle Jaylen Brown getting Eastern Conference Finals MVP? Jason Tatum could. He didn't change his game. Jason Kidd tried to bait him into changing his game after Game 1 because he realized that Tatum was going to be unselfish, and the Mavericks, crashed down on Tatum. Every time he drove the lane, they crashed on him, and Tatum kicked it out every single time and set up his teammates for open shots. And Jason Kidd realized if he left him one-on-one that Tatum would hurt him. He would score eventually. Or if he doubled him, Tatum was going to make the right play. So Kidd's approach after game one was to bait Jason Tatum into making the wrong play. Because a lot of superstars in this league would let their egos get in the way. And they would try to do it all themselves. And Jason Tatum, not once in this series or in these playoffs, tried to do it all himself. And for that, I give him a big tip of the cap. A lot of 26-year-old guys who haven't won anything in this league would have tried to take things over. But Tatum was okay with deferring. And that cost him the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Because they would have won that series whether Tatum was as big of a team player or not. Might have cost him NBA Finals MVP. Because he didn't have that big step-back shot moment that you remember where he drains it in somebody's face and you're like, that guy's the alpha. It's like what I heard about Luka. Oh, he's an alpha. Well, Luka doesn't make his team better. Jason Tatum does. And you're a champion in part because of that. In big part because of that. Tip of the cap to him. 617-779-0985. Phil in Marblehead. Hey, Phil.
Hey, McCall. It's nice that you're staying up late at night, but I have a little story for you.
Sure. What's up, Peter?
Phil, I told my son 2 years ago, if these two Jays, if they can beat Miami and get to the finals against Golden State, even if they lost that series, if they can get over the hump and get to that finals, they'll get to a few more and maybe win a couple. And here we are 2 years later. And, of course, they had to make a few moves. I mean, Drew Holiday was a perfect addition. And, I think it's and look, how about Hauser yesterday, draining a couple of threes?
No doubt. Thanks for the call, Parker. Appreciate it. Sean's in Worcester. What's up, Sean?
Hey, yo, man.
Hey, what's up?
Just talking about kind of one of the storylines that I've been thinking about for a while, just with KP, and just kind of what the verdict on him was coming into this season. Even though he's sharpshooter big and everything like that, he was looked at as a softer big, somebody who could get still beat up in the paint. And I think what he proved this season, especially just with this last series coming back from that injury after his huge performance in Game 1, was that he's a lot tougher than people give him credit for. I think just having his presence on the court really was one of the biggest reasons why we were able to affect the Mavericks shooting so much, especially when you had him out guarding on the perimeter. And one of the biggest things about this last game that I saw from him, he came in, they were clearly, they had him on ISO at the beginning of the game when he first got in. He was moving real slow, didn't know how many minutes he was going to be in. And he had a couple of nice shots. When he came in on that second shift, I feel like he really affected the game. He got comfortable. He was that big, given everything he had over on the perimeter. He was affecting shots. He was making Luka and Kyrie really take those wide looping three-pointers. And I think he really affected the game a lot more than people would probably give him credit for.
And you know what, Sean, and I got to let you go on that. I don't quite know if I gave him that type of credit, and I'd have to go back and watch the game and, see if I perhaps underrated his performance. But what I definitely underrated before he came here, and now I have a great appreciation for it, is what a gamer that guy is. He's a gamer. To go out there, to play 16 minutes, I think it was 16 minutes, to give the team a lift. I think it was more emotional than anything. Like, the team came out so locked in, probably in part because they knew Porzingis was gutting through it. And they knew he was going to try to give them something on a closeout night at home. I wonder if Kristaps Porzingis helped set the tone. The same way that I think Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics kind of accidentally set the tone for Game 4 by dressing him when it was obvious he was not going to play in that game, because they kind of dressed him for the photo op. And I think maybe it made the Celtics a little bit complacent entering that game. But knowing Porzingis was going to give it a legitimate go, and he did tonight, play 16 minutes, and he wasn't at his best, but to go out there and fight through it, I think that set the tone for the Celtics entering tonight. And he's a gamer. He's an absolute gamer, and respect to him for playing through this injury that is going to require him to go under the knife after this, and he's going to miss some time. But if you missed the report from earlier, Kristaps Porzingis will need surgery for that leg injury, leg, ankle, knee, whatever you want to call it. It's so rare. Nobody can pronounce it, but he needs surgery, and he's going to miss some time. Maybe he'll be ready for the start of the year. Maybe he won't. But he played through it tonight, and respect to him for that. What a trade. They traded Marcus Smart for that guy. They traded Marcus Smart for that guy. That's an all-time move there.
Trader Stevens, I mean, he learned from the best.
All-time move. Marcus Smart for Kristaps Porzingis. That freak. And he's not just a freak and just an incredible athlete and, does things at 7'3" that no human being should be able to do. Turns out he's a tough son of a bitch as well. 617-779-0985. No headlines, no commercials. We just need to do a quick station identification, then right back with you. It's McCarthy going up until Toucher Hardy and Johnny Wallgame. We'll do that next.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios is the flagship station of the world champion Boston Celtics.
It is Banner 18, mission accomplished.
WBZ-FM and HD Boston IA5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you are.
Or who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app. The 98.5, the Sports Hub app. We're celebrating another world championship for the Boston Celtics. This is the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party on 98.5, the Sports Hub.
But it's no longer what could be or what might be. Now it just is. The 2024 Boston Celtics are one of the greatest teams in NBA history. They were told they had to win. There's only one thing you can do when expectations are that high. Meet them. And there's only one way to stop being haunted by the ghosts and the legends and the champions atop this building. Join them. Together they have, and together they stand alone on top of the mountain for now. And once again, the Boston Celtics stand alone for all time. It is Banner 18. The mission demanded is mission accomplished.
Wow. This is what dreams are made of. And if you're Tatum, you're Brown, all the naysayers, it's when you want to go back and just say all the naysayers, what they can do now. Confetti all over the place.
Confetti guns shooting green and white confetti and making the most beautiful blizzard you have ever seen rain down on a crowded court at TD Garden. The final score, Boston 106, Dallas 88. The Boston Celtics are world champions for the 18th time.
We've been going all night as a result. Banner 18 for the Celtics. Geno time. It's been a long time coming for this one. Second longest championship drought in Boston sports history since all four teams have been in existence. 5 years. 5 years. Longest, of course, being 15 between 1986 and 2001. Tell you what, those suffering millennials, those 90s millennials like me having to suffer through those 90s without any championships, my God. We've been overdue for this, Boston. Overdue. It's been 5 years and 16 since the Celtics claimed the title. And it's about the journey, man. It's about the journey. From where they were in the post-Pierce Garnett era, thinking you were in for a long rebuild. And it did take over a decade. It did take over a decade for the Celtics to reach the mountaintop again, but it felt like it was going to be longer. And the journey from the Pierce and Garnett trade to now was a hell of a lot better than you thought it was going to be. They never fully had to go in the tank. Brad Stevens got those bridgy Celtics way more competitive than they ever should have been. And then it was the Brown Tatum era. And here we go. Off and running. 617-779-0985. One of the hardest working guys here at the station has been Alex Barth covering the Celtics tonight at the Garden. You still at the Garden, Barth? You get home? What's the deal?
No, I just got home. Walked out right. Sun was coming up over the Zake. It was pretty cool.
Alex Barth joining us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. I asked the same question to B-Rob, Barth. What's your major takeaway from this? Everybody's going to have a slightly different reaction. Your takeaway from Banner 18?
I mean, I think it was a Celtics title, like through and through. You know, there's so many teams now in the NBA. I mean, really across all sports. In the NBA, retired guns, and there's not a ton of identity to it. I thought it was really interesting. Joe Mazzulla, it was his first answer when he was at the podium, was about how he wanted to make sure previous Celtics, players, coaches, staffers who maybe didn't win a title here felt included in this. Jaylen Brown obviously talked a good amount about Bill Russell, the MVP trophy being named for him. And this was, for the most part, a homegrown title. You know, Kristaps Porzingis, they added this offseason. He's a veteran. Drew Holiday, they added. He's a veteran. But most of these guys, Tatum and Brown, were drafted here. Derek White was kind of an organizational find. He identifies as a Celtic. Al Horford had a good career in Atlanta, but that was, over a decade ago now. This was a real, and credit to Brad Stevens, chief among them, this was a real homegrown title. This was not a team just going out and plundering a free agent market and putting together a super team. This was roster construction, and it was done at the organizational level, and they were able to produce a champion.
But it wasn't necessarily the plan. 5 years ago, they wanted to, go down the Kyrie Irving route, and that didn't happen, which in some ways to me is one of the great stories of this, Barth, is that you had to go through Kyrie to do it. And it's not that you had to go through Kyrie to shove it to him or whatever it is. It's the full circle moment. They didn't want to go down the Brown Tatum route. They wanted to, put veteran co-stars around Kyrie. If he waited 6 months to have a meltdown, it would have been Kyrie and Anthony Davis and somebody else probably, and it wasn't. And instead, it's Brown and Tatum, and tonight was their coronation.
Yeah, it really was. And I think, too, it becomes interesting now. How does this change the relationship between Kyrie Irving and Boston? Because Kyrie Irving, the games in Boston, was horrible in this series. And I don't know, I'm not going to say they were going to win the title, but he hurt his team tremendously tonight. If you just look at tonight for the basketball game that it was. And the ghosts are real for him in TD Garden. And, I'm not saying the fans are ever going to necessarily forgive him, but, isn't this the win? Isn't this what Boston fans wanted? We got the title. He got embarrassed. It feels like the end of that saga. Again, he'll still get booed when he comes back, but like you said, the full circle moment, it feels like this is, the chase for Banner 18 is in itself so massive, but this Kyrie Irving storyline, from acquiring him via trades, him going to Brooklyn and all of that, has been a major storyline for this organization for a few years. It'll still flare up here and there, but I think this is it. They more or less wrote the final chapter in that. I think everything after this is an epilogue.
Barth, your coverage at 98.5thesportshub.com. What should people be reading this morning?
So me and Matt Dolph just put some stuff up on what was said after the game. Again, I thought Joe Mazzulla's quote about the previous Celtics was very interesting. Al Horford kind of talked about that too. He actually talked about buying into the organization and the organizational philosophy, which I thought was very interesting because Kyrie Irving kind of criticized that the other day. Matt Dolph has something on Jason Tatum, just his performance in Game 5 alone, how he was the spark. And I know Matt has some stuff coming on. He has something coming on Kyrie Irving, actually, and the whole relationship between him and the fans. And he'll have some other stuff coming as well. So we got a bunch of immediate post-game stuff up there now. I think Maz has something up, too, on this championship and the scope of Boston championships. So we got plenty up there now, and there'll be more coming throughout the next day, a couple days through the parade here as we wrap up the 2024 Celtics.
All right, parade on Friday. Everybody get ready. It's gonna be a hot one. So get your rest, Barth.
So I think it's supposed to storm that day. I think that's the end of the.
I don't know. What day is it at this point? I don't know. It's 5:11 in the morning.
We're going to enjoy it, whatever. We're going to. Boston will have a strong showing, whatever.
The party just starts. It's just starting now. Go get some rest, Barth. Appreciate it.
There's still people out in front of TD right now.
That's why you're on the ground. That's why boots on the ground. Alex Barth, 98.5thesportshub.com. Read his great work. Seriously, man, thanks for checking in tonight.
Thanks. Marathon McCarthy had to stop in.
You can't you just got to keep going. You keep going. I did 7 hours when the Red Sox won in 2018. They only asked me to do 4 tonight. I can keep on going. What is this? Do I see? Hold on. 617-779-0985. This is a guy I need to hear from. Sean Silver checking in. The Al Horford guy for years, defending the honor and the legacy of Al Horford. Your guy finally got one tonight, Silver.
Marathon Matt. Hey, man, I just wanted to call in here as dawn breaks out here in my suburban enclave. I'm sure you're getting some sunlight through the windows of the Waltham studios.
We got them blocked
just
out.
Wanted to. What's that?
We got them blocked out. You never see sun here.
Oh, man, I would suggest, Matt, get yourself to a window just to get yourself some reality. But, hey, it's okay to live, in the fantasy here. It's been a fun night for a lot of people. Obviously, we've got a lot of people from the station who've been working real hard overnight here, so credit to them. Credit to you, Marathon Matt. Hey, I could come on a morning like this and be hella petty, right? Mm-hmm. I could just be full of vitriol and bile for all of the conversations that I've had to endure on these airwaves pretty much over the last 10 years, ever since the Celtics started getting good again. Yeah, I'll take some L's on the things that I was wrong about. But it's really cool when your team wins, Matt. And this is one that means more for me than the other ones. So how could I not come on and hopefully bring a little bit of sunshine to the proceedings?
No, you have been, when I kid you not, Silver, the biggest defender of Al Horford for 10 years on these airwaves. In many ways, Horford coming to town, and we haven't talked enough about Horford in this program tonight. In many ways, Horford coming to town was the beginning of this. And in some ways, his return to Boston and Brad Stevens taking over and trading Kemba Walker in a first-round pick, and a move that I don't think Danny Ainge would have done to bring Horford back, kind of jump-started this second era of the Brown-Tatum era that ultimately concluded with their first, and I think when I say first championship, their first of a few championships tonight. That's where I think they're trending. But it kind of started with Stevens making that first move and getting Horford back.
Yeah, summer of 2016. And, you think about Al Horford, I'll even throw it back 1 year earlier. Amir Johnson, among all the names that you could bring up over these last 10 years as the Celtics rebuilt from the, KG, Pierce, Allen, Rondo era to what we have now. Amir Johnson, at one point, I remember talking about, he was the biggest Celtics free agent signing since Dominique Wilkins back in '94. So, think about that. And then Al Horford, and Al Horford comes in the summer of 2016 there. Everyone wanted Kevin Durant, right? They got Al Horford in pretty much from the jump just because of the outlay of money. Just the fact that he wasn't Kevin Durant. You get real used to winning around here. You have people in your face like Tom Brady. Everyone wanted that magic elixir. Everybody wanted that superhero. Al Horford was never that superhero, but he's a starting center now on a championship team. Took him 8 years to get here, but it's absolutely clear the role that he played in the Celtics, building to success. I keep saying on these airways, right? Growth is not linear, all right? There were fits and starts. There were, having to reprogram on the fly for these Celtics, including Al Horford going away for a couple of years. But that guy's put in a lot of years, sometimes NBA Hall of Fame caliber players. She truly is, he's a lot of stats. He's played a lot of years. He kind of ranks in like a Robert Parrish type, just, kind of failing to get pull anybody else off the tip of my tongue right now, but just a guy who's played a lot of years, been very, very good, never ultimate team player. And Brad Stevens bringing him back in 22 was to me, at the time, was like, okay, hey, this is good, because things were kind of falling apart there. Things were kind of falling apart in 2021. The Celtics had taken a step back. It was clear that it was not Kemba Walker. It was clear that obviously that it was not Gordon Hayward or Kyrie. It was going to be Brown and Tatum who were going to lead them. Brad Stevens' first move was immediately establishing that infrastructure around those guys. It took a few years to click into place, but Al Horford was move number one. And boy, oh boy, was everyone, well, not everyone, a certain vocal few were very upset about that. All the guy's done is produce since he's been back here, and now he gets to celebrate with a title.
I mean, you want to talk about dancing on the graves of the people who wronged you. Waking up at 5 a.m. to call into Sports Talk Radio to say, I was right, you were wrong about Al Horford. It is a type it is a type of pettiness that I must respect, Silver. Before I let you go, simple yes or no answer. Would you? I think I know your answer. Would you put 42 in the rafters?
Yeah. Why not? You've established a trajectory here, right, with the Celtics. Why not? I mean, he's got the ring now, and apparently that's all that matters, according to some. So if you want to say that Al Horford doesn't belong in the TD Garden rafters someday, he's done the one thing that everybody says is the only thing that matters now, and that's get the ring. So I don't know where we go from here, Matt. There can't be any possible narratives to cover on the Boston Celtics, man.
We'll find him. We'll find him. Trust me.
I got to say, petty or not, Matt, it's just great to be here. Other teams have had championships in recent years. We've had to go 5 doggone years since a title. But, if the Celtics are your A1, it's been a while since 2008. It's been a climb, man, and I'm a journey guy. I've enjoyed that journey. Boy, am I glad they didn't trade Brown or Tatum. I'll take that L. I said about 5 years ago, Karl Anthony Towns. The Celtics need a big man. Trade one of them for Karl Anthony Towns. I will take all the L's, Matt. But just remember, when it comes down to it, Silver was right.
Nobody loves the Celtics more than you. I'm telling you that, Sean Silver, here, obviously our colleague at the station. Thanks for calling in this morning. I know you had to dance over the Al Horford thing, and enjoy this one. You deserve it.
Thank you for doing what you do, Matt. Have a good morning.
All right, sounds good. Sean Silver joining us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. 617-779-0985. Let's go to Mark in Plymouth. Hey, Mark. Oh, Mark. Mark? Hey,
can you hear me?
Hi, Mark. Wow, I was just about to let you go. Hi.
Oh, sorry. Hey, yes, thanks for giving us first shifters something to listen to on our way into work this morning.
You got it. I'm a hero. I agree.
Yeah, but I just really want to say I think the big heroes last night are the Philadelphia 76ers and the Los Angeles Lakers scouting departments for passing on both the Jays to let us get them. And, I'll just say one quick thing is, this is our 13th championship in, the past 25 years, and it's just can't ever take these for granted. They're special. And, the other night at Tom Brady night, Mike Tirico said just, always think about the people that were there last time, but not necessarily this time. And just always keep it in perspective and just, we're lucky to live in Boston.
We live for these nights. No place I'd rather be than right here, right now, doing this show with you. 13 championships. 13 championships in the last 24 years. Thank God I was born here instead of some podunk town where it doesn't matter and you don't win the way that we do. What a night to be alive. Morning to be alive. Whatever it is for you. Sleep is for losers. Sleep is for the weak. We roll on. 617-779-0985. When I say the commercials are short tonight, they are short tonight. Be right back with more of your thoughts after this. It's McCarthy going all night long on the Sports Hub.
You have to break up the duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It's time to break it up.
Stay tuned as the party continues on the home of your world champion Boston Celtics.
It's in the air. He got it. He did it again.
Boston is home.
Peyton Pritchard with the world watching.
To the world champion Celtics.
He knocks down a half-court three.
Boston's home of the NBA champion. Boston Celtics. 98.5, the Sports Hub. Now, you're listening to the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Luka, left-hand dribble, coming in on Tatum, falls away from the baseline, aims, no good, offensive rebound, lively, blocked by Derek White. A monster block takes 2 points off the board.
Oh, goodness, Derek White.
No guard has ever had a shot-blocking playoff like Derek White has had.
We really need to stop calling Derek White the best shot-blocking guard in the NBA. He's just a shot blocker, man. And at his size, it's remarkable. I heard Cerrone after the game say, if he were 4 inches taller, he'd be the best shot blocker in the league. What he does at his size, it is something else, man. Getting rid of Marcus Smart, bringing in Drew Holiday, and increasing Derek White's role. The guard play on this team this year was next level and was perfect for what Brown and Tatum needed to take the next step themselves. 2 guards who do nothing but the right thing. That's Drew Holiday and Derek White. Perfect fit for 2 players who needed to take that next step towards a championship. That next step themselves so they could ultimately reach this goal, and they did. What a job by Brad Stevens to put the best possible unit around Brown and Tatum to allow them to flourish. 617-779-0985. It's McCarthy taking you up till Toucher and Hardy. Let's go to Mark in Medford. Hey, Mark.
Hey, McCarthy, what a great morning it is, isn't it?
Sure is, man. Sure is.
So how about, you let off this segment with Derek White and you just, seg me right into it. The guy literally left his teeth on the floor last night and said after the game, he goes, I'll lose all my teeth for these guys. And I loved it when they had Jaylen Brown mic'd up and said, boy, you look ugly right now. You knew this team was winning last night when they had that kind of attitude last night.
Yep, they came out ready to win a championship last night, and they didn't come out that way on Friday. But I said over the weekend they didn't have to. And if they learned that lesson, then who cares about Friday? Not one person has mentioned Game 4 tonight. Not one. Or this morning, or whatever it is. And that's probably the last time we will mention it. Shane in Rhode Island, you're up next. Hey, Shane.
Hey, Matt. Good morning. Good night. So I'm just thinking about the Derek White blocks. He's better than Mutombo. But what I was really trying to call about is... No, he's a better blocker. No, I'm being facetious, I guess.
Thank you.
But,
sorry, it's been a long night. I'm not picking up on sarcasm.
No, all right. You still there?
I got you.
All right. So I just wanted to talk about the whole season for the Celtics. I think, if I could have picked what I wanted to happen at the beginning of the season, it went exactly how I wanted it to go. They did everything right. And as a team, and I was very proud of that, and I'm very happy tonight. So that's all I had to say.
Yeah, I mean, they steamrolled everybody. There was no opposition, really. And listen, did they get the best possible teams in their way? No, they didn't. I mean, I'm not going to come in here tonight and say that Dallas was Denver, because they weren't. I'm not going to come here tonight and say that. That the Pacers were what the Bucks could have been with Giannis and Dame. Obviously, that wasn't the case. But the Celtics were so much better than everybody. Everybody. And they are undeniably the most deserving NBA champion this year. And they just put it all together. This is what they had been building towards for a long time. So it's no surprise that they steamrolled everybody. You had said in October who was going to win the NBA title, I would have said the Celtics, because they were the best team in the league. And they were the best team by far. By far. And now it's about where they can go from here. As Brian Robb pointed out to us a little while ago. This could be the start of something greater than just one championship. It should be the start of something greater than one championship. This team is positioned for success. As B-Rob pointed out, it's hard to see anybody really making, any significant, changes. I mean, does Paul George end up in a place like Philadelphia? Fine. What, Joel Embiid? Doesn't concern me. This is about the Celtics moving forward. They've got an opportunity to really claim an era in the NBA. We'll see if that happens. Pierce and Allen and Garnett, you felt like after 2008 that they were positioned to win more than one, and they ultimately didn't. Injuries were a factor there. But, had Garnett come back in 2009, I think they probably would have won. I'm still waiting for Kevin Garnett to come back. It's 15 years later. Perk got hurt in 2010. Does Game 7 go differently? Maybe. So who's to say? But no doubt, they are positioned. They are positioned for a long run here. And they should be. Let's go to Chris in Worcester. Hey, Chris.
Yeah, I'll just pile on. I stayed up late. I just drove into Boston, and I park at the Fenway from Worcester to Boston, and I was up all night. But I want to pile on with the Derek White because, right, leaving his teeth on the floor, and what a pickup. And I was just wondering, McCarthy, how did we get Derek White again? Because my mind is just mush. How did he get him? Where did he come from, Derek White?
He came from San Antonio, and they traded Romeo Langford, Josh Richardson, and a first-round pick. Danny Ainge would not have made that trade. He wouldn't have given up a precious first-rounder. Not a chance. Not a chance. The transition from Ainge to Stevens was needed. And Stevens has done nothing short of a spectacular job since taking over. I think in his 3 years in charge here, whatever it's been at this point, because my brain is mush too, at 5:30 in the morning. The run he is on as a first-time executive is almost unprecedented for an executive in basketball, maybe an executive in sports. To take over for the first time and do the job that he's done. Has he made a bad move? A single bad move? What's his worst move? Dennis Schroeder? Enes Kanter? I mean, inconsequential bad moves. And he moved on from both of those guys, and it didn't work. Traded for Horford. Traded for White. Traded for Brogdon. Traded basically, Nesmith, but, I mean, come on. For Brogdon, who he then tried to flip for Porzingis. That didn't work, so he got rid of Marcus Smart, which was the ultimate addition by subtraction, and then flipped Brogdon and Williams for Drew Holiday, who was what you always wanted Marcus Smart to be, but he's so much better. What a run Brad Stevens is on. That guy should go to the blackjack table. He is on a heater like you wouldn't believe. Chip in Connecticut, you're up next. Hey, Chip.
Hey, originally from Lowell, so we keep that streak going.
We sure do.
And just a quick note of appreciation for you doing this, and that you're originally from Boston. It seems like, I won't name the names, but the other shows, we hear about Milwaukee and all that stuff on the Boston shows. So thank you for doing this. And then the last quick point is, these guys played 20 more games than the rest of the league. So, and they're an older group, so they've got to get the support for next year to keep that streak going.
All right, Chip. Thanks a lot. Boston born and bred. Yeah, because that matter. Actually, it kind of does matter. You got to be here a long time. You got to be here a long time to get this. And when I was born, could you have imagined 13 championships in my lifetime? 13 in the last 24 years. As we talked about, 1986 to 2001, if you were born in that stretch, you experienced the longest drought in Boston sports championship history, so long as the four majors have been in existence. Tonight, the second longest drought ended at 5 years. Thank God it happened. I mean, there are 7-year-olds out there, 8-year-olds, there are 10-year-olds out there who can't remember a parade. Thank God we took care of the children tonight. Thank God we gave them a long-awaited championship. 13 in 24 years. 23 years. Jesus. What a run. Thank God I was born here. Thank God you were born here. Or wherever you're checking in from tonight. We've had Berlin, we've had San Diego, we've had Hawaii, Indianapolis, all across the country. We had Canada. We've been partying all night long, leading you into Toucher and Hardy. It's McCarthy here on the Sports Hub.
Stay tuned for more of the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
The Affordable Connectivity Program has ended.
but Verizon is committed to keeping you connected. For a limited time, eligible customers who qualify for Verizon Forward can get Fios home internet for as low as $0 a month for 6 months. Check if you're eligible by calling 1-800-VERIZON or visiting Verizon.com/Verizon Forward. Offer ends 9/3/24. Availability varies. For new eligible residential customers who first sign up for Fios 300 megabits per second internet and they qualify for Verizon Forward. Subject to credit approval. $99 setup charge applies. Must install activate service by 9/30/24. After 6 months, you will be charged the then current price. Approved verification documents required.
Contractors, developers, plumbers.
More of the Sports Hub Banner 18 Celtics Championship Overnight Party. We are the new kings on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You've been close for the last few years, but decided this offseason to make some major changes. How did you and Brad Stevens know that staying the course just wasn't going to be good enough?
Well, we all watched the team the last few years, great teams, but not quite there. And Brad was brilliant. We knew we needed to make changes. We knew we wanted to make changes, and Brad got it done. He brought in Drew, he brought in KP, and here we are. Banner 18 is back.
It's Wick after the game. Don't ignore it. The commitment that ownership has made to this team. Trust me, as somebody who lives and dies with the Red Sox, I know what it feels like when your owner decides to stop caring. Wick has not made that decision. Wick cares very much, and he backs it up with the money that he spends on this team. It's Matt McCarthy taking you up until 6 o'clock. A lot of commitment. A lot of commitment from that ownership group. They gave Jaylen Brown $305 million last offseason. They're going to give Jason Tatum $300+ million this offseason. And they needed to make a change, too, and he knew it. He knew Danny Ainge had probably run his course here. And he made a move that was unpopular at the time. People criticized it. People said he was putting Brad Stevens in as president of basketball operations because he had given him a big contract. Well, it turns out Brad Stevens has been on a heater like nobody else since he took over. One of the most significant new moves in Boston sports history, Celtics history for sure, bringing Brad Stevens to Boston. First as a coach, then as an executive.
You know, I actually want to tell on myself and apologize to Brad Stevens. When he had that promotion into the front office, I thought it was a stink. You know, I thought they could have just got rid of him in that case. And who would have known how bright and smart of a young man, you know, he really was.
Well, you knew that about Stevens. You knew he was a bright guy. He had a lot of basketball acumen.
But to be able to sign the contracts and, you know, to take it to that next level and ultimately entrusting him with the Udoka and then the subsequent Missoula hires, he's been commendable.
I mean, Stevens, commendable. He's been beyond commendable. He's been outstanding. I mean, think about the state of the franchise when Stevens came here first as a coach. They had just traded Garnett and Pierce, looked like a long rebuild, and he got the absolute most out of some not so very good teams and accelerated the Celtics' return to relevance. I mean, that is no small feat. And then to do what he's done as president of basketball operations, having never done it before. I mean, again, bright guy. I thought he was actually going to be successful. I was on record saying I thought he was going to be successful. One of the few things I've actually been right about. I never could have predicted how good he was going to be at the job. Thought he'd be successful, but I never predicted he would be like this.
Stellar.
Oh, he's been beyond stellar. All as a first-time executive. And that's what Whit Grousbeck made that decision. It's one of the best decisions he has ever made. 617-779-0985. Let's go to Jake in the car. You're up next. Hey, Jake.
Hey, I just want to talk about, I just didn't know, how long do we have Derek White for after this year? And then what's the contract situation going to look like with, we already have Drew for, 2 or 4 more years. Mm-hmm. And then I think we're going to have to re-sign KP. So that's just all I need to know.
Derek White's the next decision they have to make, paying Derek White. And I don't doubt for a second that they will because of the commitment that ownership has made to this team. Whit Grousbeck is not afraid to pay the luxury tax. Whit Grousbeck probably will not be afraid to go into the second apron now that this team has proven that they can win. And to have an owner who is willing to spend the absolute most on his team to continue to invest in his team, don't underestimate how important that is when it comes to keeping teams like this together. Golden State was willing to do that. They kept, Thompson and Curry around and longer than maybe some owners would have, and they paid a lot in luxury tax fines. Take a look at the Red Sox, the amount of money they're willing to spend or not willing to spend on their teams. Take a look at the Patriots and the way that Robert Kraft has spent money on his football team in recent years. What Whit Grousbeck has done deserves a lot of credit, and it doesn't get talked about enough. In the face of 2 owners in town who have not been willing to spend enough on their teams, Wick has certainly been willing to do that. 617-779-0985. Here's what we're going to do. We have a long Celtics recap coming your way, a season recap put together for the network broadcast for the Celtics Radio Network. We'll do that as we get you ready for Toucher and Hardy coming your way next on the Sports Hub. It's McCarthy.
The party continues in a moment. tuned as the party continues on the home of your world champion Boston Celtics. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
For the drunks, the degenerates, and the insomniacs. It still is, of course. Every show is for the drunks, the degenerates, and the insomniacs. But now it's for the folks waking up, going to work, sitting in traffic this morning. So this one's for you. Here's what we're going to do. We have a Celtics season recap produced by Matt Stenberg for the BetMGM 98.5, the Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Enjoy it.
Celtics win the opening tap. Porzingis beats Bam Adebayo, and away we go. Celtics in the traditional home white, going left to right. Miami wearing the red uniforms with the black and white trim. Back of the wing to Jaylen Brown. Jab step on Jovic, trying to get him to commit. Return to Porzingis. He up-fakes the three. Steps to his left away from Hawkins. On the move, he hits a three.
No. Get in the house right now.
11-3 Boston run. They've made 17 threes here in game one. They lead by 20. Derek White moves into Tatum against Tyler Hero. 5 in the shot clock. Tatum back to Derek White. Pretty good look at a three. Got it.
That's his triple-double, isn't it?
It is 19, 10, and 10 for Jason Tatum. Hero misses one wide open, and Boston has it back as we enter the final minute of the first half. Jalen, step back on Jovic, and he drills another one.
He pushed people away. He pushed them away and said, I got this dude. I got this dude.
The Garden comes unhinged. 9 straight for Jaylen Brown, and the Celtics lead by 4. Tyler Hero having a rough go. Derek White, another pull-up three, and he's got it.
That man is hot. White hot. Ooh.
He's very nearly outscored the Heat by himself in the first half. Tatum launched a shot, and Bam Adebayo knocked him down, and now Tatum is reaching down for his left ankle after Bam hit him after the whistle. And now Tatum has both his hands up at his forehead. What on earth was Bam thinking about? Jalen deep on the right side against Jovic. Now Hero jumps at him. That's the matchup Miami doesn't want. Jalen pull up on Hero for 3.
Man. Anybody got anything for South Beach? I don't, because I'm not going.
Derek White turns, nasty step back on Merrill, and he drills another one.
That man is doggone it sick. Get him some pills. He's sick out there.
Derek White enters to Tatum. Tatum attacks, scores, and the foul. Drive home safely. Just another workman-like, business-like, what's next-like effort from the Boston Celtics here in Game 1. It's the same show we have seen from Game 1 through Game 88. Rebound, Tatum deflects it towards Al Horford. Return to Tatum. Baseline extended. Kick out. Holiday runs to the other corner. All alone for 3 more. And the Celtics have scored the first 14 points of the second half and suddenly have a 23-point lead.
Oh, are they doing it on this on defensive end, John Grandy?
Tatum spins on Levert. To the left hand. Falls away. Really tough 3. Got it. And Tatum pumping his fist. He's put the Celtics up by 5. He's got 23 in the first half. Tatum deep on the left side against Dean Wade. Garland jumps out of him. Tatum turns the corner. Kick out. Open. Jalen 3. Got it. Jaylen Brown knocks down the killer 3 with 1:07 to go. And that's all that separates the Celtics from a 3-1 series lead. Jalen turns the corner. Attacks. Kick out. Holiday touches to Horford. How fitting would this be? A straightaway 3 for Al Horford, his 6th of the night in a virtuoso performance for number 42. They have to get it in, leading by 3 with 10 seconds to go. And then get it across half court. Nembhard gets it into Siakam. He deflects it out of bounds. That's Boston ball. The Pacers did the unthinkable, and they turned it over.
That's impossible. Impossible.
Do the Pacers try and foul off the inbound? Holiday's got it. No timeouts. He's got to get it in. Throws to the corner. Jalen forces it up over Siakam. No! He tied it. He did it. Jaylen Brown from the corner with 5.6 to go. And the Pacers have given away game 1 for the moment. Now can they steal it back? Tatum's got it. It's inside to the Drew Holiday. Finds White. Gets backdoor cut. Lays it in. Celtics by 6.
Stick a fork in them. They're done now.
Jaylen Brown moving to his left. McDermott slows him down. Shot clock down to 3. How fitting would this be for Jalen to finish his perfect night with a 3? Woo-hoo!
Man, I put the ketchup on the French fries.
And Jalen drops 40 in game 2. Tatum straight away, dribbles behind the back, throws the bounce pass to Al Horford for 3. Timeout, Rick Carlisle, as his 18-point lead has been whittled down to 3. Holiday attacks the paint, rises, scoops, scores, and the foul. And with 38.9 to go, Drew Holiday will calmly walk to the free throw line with a chance, wait for it, to give Boston the lead.
Oh, what a play this was. Right into the body. You reach. Doggone it, teach.
Horford sets the screen. Tatum turns the corner. He's inside the free throw line. He elevates. He scoops. It's no good. Rebound Nembhard. 8 seconds to go. Indiana not calling timeout. Nembhard racing into the front court. Holiday knocks the ball away with his left hand. Goes into the front court and gets fouled by Siakam.
Man, play game. Come on, playing defense.
The Pacers had a timeout. They didn't use it. Tatum against Turner. Tatum pushes off. Steps back. 3 in the air. No good. Rebound. Drew Holiday. 4 seconds to go. Kick out Jalen. Can they get to him to commit the foul? They cannot. And it's over. It's over. The Boston Celtics swarm the floor. All year they said this team couldn't win in the clutch. They said they couldn't win at home. They said they played with their food. And they said the season was a failure if they didn't reach the finals. They have had a bad year because Game 1 is in Boston on June the 6th. In Game 1, they took their heart. In Game 3, they took their home. And in Game 4, in the final seconds, with everything on the line, the Boston Celtics take the series and the championship of the Eastern Conference. Richard shovel back to Porzingis. Having a trail 3. Got it!
Oh, that's some good stuff here, man.
Couldn't ask for a better start. Boston by 14. Kyrie forces one out, blocked by Porzingis again. Drew Holiday into the front court. Throws a pass out to the corner. Hauser off balance 3, and that's good.
Man, somebody call the law.
51-29. Boston by 22. Jalen, clean strip of Luka, flies in for the right-hand slam, and the Celtics lead Game 1 by 24.
Well, we talked about who he could guard. JB steps up again.
Are you serious with this return for Porzingis? 7 of 9, 2 of 3 from distance, 18 points in 11 minutes, and the Celtics lead by 28. 2 seconds. Pritchard from 35. Got it! He banked it in! Peyton Pritchard. He's been making that shot all year long. He's been the one to have to carry the mail in the final couple of seconds, and now, on the biggest stage there is, he banks one in to beat the third quarter buzzer.
Give that man a damn cheeseburger. French fries, hot dogs, whatever he wants on me.
On a night the Celtics haven't been able to put it in the ocean, Peyton Pritchard shoots from there and makes it. Tatum drives with the right hand, attacks, tried to cuff it on Washington, missed the dunk, but the rebound comes all the way out to Holiday. He throws out to an open Derek White for 3.
Now we're cooking. Now you give me some doggone gas.
Back to his left, push